invited, food and fun for the entire family. Meanwhile, please consider advertising with the Alabama Gazette. They are most worthy of your support. Give them a call, 356-6700. Pro-life, pro-family, pro-America. That's the Alabama Gazette. 356-6700. Remember, advertising space is limited for that big 24th anniversary issue, so give them a call right now, 356-6700. The Alabama Gazette, informative, honest, trustworthy, your conservative alternative. That's the Alabama Gazette, 356-6700.
Kickback Ranch and Event Center wants you to join us October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for our annual Frontier Days and Fall Festival. Enjoy live foraging demonstrations and the way life used to be. Face painting, small animals, games, bounce houses, water activities for the kids. Vendors, food trucks, boot walk for cancer, give blood with Life South, and enjoy live music featuring bluegrass with the Southern Gentlemen. The Kickback Ranch annual Frontier Days, October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is $5. Call 286-4140 or go to kickbackranch.net. Be there.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
What the hell are we doing here?
We are behaving the way a superpower ought to behave.
Well, our behavior has produced some crappy results.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
I apologize for thinking that you ate babies.
I like to do it at night when people aren't around.
If you get a cough, please leave the room.
This afternoon, we've seen a whole lot of table banging.
I got words.
I got hairy legs.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
You know, they used to say Abraham Lincoln got the worst press. I said there's no way he got worse than me.
Fat broads and horse-faced lesbians.
Up, silly woman.
Hey, mister. I don't mean to be telling tales out of school, but there's a feller in there who'll pay you $10 if you sing into his can.
I'm not here to make a record, you dumb cracker. They broadcast me out on the radio.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie has the day off. Eddie Two Pies, my good friend, he had a good reason. I'm not going to go into it, but I'll tell you what, that guy's going to have if he didn't before, that guy's going to have a strong back after he gets all that work done. If you're listening out there, Eddie, enjoy your day off there, kind sir. So there's so much to get to today. Apparently the phones aren't working. We could try it at 272-9228 just to see if the phones are working or if they're not. I'm just used to something breaking in this studio for whatever reason. But a lot of big headlines today. Rupert Murdoch, he is now resigning, going to be an emeritus chairman. So everybody go watch your Succession episodes, apparently, that's based on the Murdochs. Big interview with Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, the essential ruler, the monarch there in Saudi Arabia. One big takeaway from the interview is Saudi Arabia will go nuclear if Iran does. Peter McCullough, you might know him from him and Robert Malone really calling out the COVID regime, in particular the COVID vaccines, as well as our public health institutions like the World Health Organization. Peter McCullough just testified in front of the EU, the European Parliament, and he has a brutal takedown of the WHO. And of course, Ken Paxton, just off acquittal. I didn't know how crazy the impeachment process and what Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, was going through. Absolutely insane. He did a sit-down interview, laid out all the details with Tucker Carlson last night. We might get to portions of that. Quick update when it comes to, well, the band leader, minor high band leader, Mr. Mims. Well, Wandelin Gavan, who's also a representative and represents Mr. Mims as his attorney, says, quote, "This would not have happened in a majority white school." just going to leave that there for the time being. And then another huge news, we broke it to you when it first happened yesterday, when we first knew it. But Coach Tuberville made Chuck Schumer blink. He made him blink big time. Folks, you got to take a win when you get a win, even if it is, you can say, oh, it's partisan, but take the win when you get the win. And you know how it's a win? The screaming from the establishment, especially the Democratic media and establishment. And we'll get into all of what's going on there. But first, it looks like some of the phone calls are working here. Line 1, you're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey's Chris. It worked.
All right, it works. Like I'm flying solo today, so I better have some phone calls.
Yeah, man. Well, good. I read that article in 1819 about Gwendolyn, Webster, Representative Gwendolyn
Gavan.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, I don't know the circumstances about that, but, you know, there wasn't race wasn't involved, but now it's got to be involved. That's what's so just insane about it.
Right.
And, but also, too, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I would say that the phrase, what in the world is that? It applies to so much in the news today, including when Gavan walked up there with those glasses. I'm like, whoa, what in the...
Yeah.
What in the world?
She's got some specs on her, man. She probably has a different pair for every day of the week.
Yeah, but this is her usual shtick, right? I mean, she's been beating this drum for a while.
Yeah, I mean, she said the N-word on the House floor, singing a rap song. So I don't really have much respect for her. But I do have to say that was a good win for Tommy Tuberville to kind of to slow down the process out like he has, and then make Chuck Schumer kind of like you said blink. It's a good step in the right direction. But I just know that we got a little short man up in D.C. wearing Army fatigue up there begging for money from the military-industrial complex and some of our ups here in the House. And I hope that no one gives them a dime.
Right.
And I'm talking about Vladimir Zelensky.
Oh, there's a lot of pushback now. J.D. Vance really pushing back. I believe Rand Paul is. I know Coach Tuberville's more on that side of where the heck is all this money going. Even the president of Poland, he described Ukraine as like a drowning man, but we got to look out for our own interests. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, when you're borrowing money from the Chinese to defend someone else's borders when you can't defend your own, it's hard to really make that sell to the American people.
Right. And then, of course, did you see, as a follow-up real quick on the F-35 crash story, did you see the local interview with the man who saw it?
I did.
It is amazing. I want to play it for the audience here. I'll play it on the live stream. By the way, we are live streaming now, folks. Go to Joey Clark Live on YouTube, and you can find me there. Like and subscribe if you could be so kind. Okay, so here we go. This is something just that makes everybody laugh. Everybody I played it for. Let's tune in, folks.
Normally it's pretty quiet, but on Sunday afternoon,
I was in the bathroom taking a shave.
This is Randolph White. He heard the crash.
And I heard a screeching, saw that between a screech and a whistle. What in the world is this? And I heard a boom.
When that guy said that about that F-35, I'm like, man, that's my reaction to most of the news. Like, what is this? What in the world?
That sound effect will be heard for years to come. Oh, by the way, YouTube, I love watching you on YouTube, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're only going to get better. Keep working at it here.
Absolutely. Well, good job, man. Have a good one, and the phones do work.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Red Top. Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that was a hell of a scream, and this guy's got to be related to James Brown. That's all I got to say.
I felt him, man. Like I was like, he's summing it up for me. How I wake up in the morning, I look at Twitter. I
said, what in the world is this?
It's like that sums it up perfectly.
That guy's got to be a 60s soul singer. He's got to be. And speaking of X, they have been clamping down on Elon Musk for all kinds of stuff because he's now on X. But successful test of the Raptor vacuum engine, which is crucial. That happened just in late August, and you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Vaguely, yeah, but the big Raptor engines are going to be the ones that actually take the Starship to Mars.
Right, but these are the vacuum engines, and they had to prove to NASA they would start and stop in a vacuum.
In a vacuum space,
yeah.
Different than,
yeah. So, and it's a very new kind of sophisticated rocket that uses liquid or subcooled methane and oxygen mixed. Boy, is that a hot mixture, brother.
Man.
And they showed a test on the pad, man, and it's magnificent. So this brings them now, they have completed the requirements to get to $2.9 billion because they had to get that and prove it was going to happen. And so that's going good. SpaceX, Starship's having a hard time getting off the pad. Now it's the damn fish and wildlife guys that are trying to hold up the launch. And if you want some good reading, Joey, read the description of the last Starship takeoff. Did you really read what all happened on the ground while that thing was taking off?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, like 3-foot chunks of concrete flying all over the place. Part of the launch pad exploded. I mean, we're talking about something 50 feet taller than the RSA Tower.
Well.
And probably damn sure near as big as a round. So that scared the hell out of people around there. I don't know what they expected, but they supposedly have made it to where the concrete won't fly like 3 acres away. So Elon's under the heat because of X, but that's okay because I'll tell you, X is doing really good. Thanks to to all the criticism said he was going to fail. This man ain't going to fail in a damn thing. I hope he keeps going.
They're definitely coming after
you too,
him.
Bud.
Appreciate it.
Roll Tide, go Trump. Thank you.
Yeah, both Garland and Biden seem to be ready to put Elon in prison, and that was actually from a Wall Street Journal write-up and report. Of course, we got plenty of clips from yesterday with Merrick Garland, a few quite powerful. The footage of hundreds of thousands of people crossing the border, Trump commenting on that. Of course, Zelensky hat in hand at the UN, and you're starting to see, I believe the Ukrainians, to show he had a larger crowd, kind of doctored the video and accidentally still had Zelensky in the crowd. But of course, I want to start here. I want to start with, well, not Alabama senator, but the New York senator, the senior senator from New York, who is the majority leader there in that august body, Chuck Schumer. Now, Chuck Schumer clearly, folks, blinked. Chuck Schumer clearly was the first to call uncle. He couldn't stand his ground. He's the big old chicken. And one thing I find amazing is that CNN actually changed their headline. It was Tuberville forces Schumer's hand as the majority leader sets up votes to happen as soon as Wednesday afternoon. But they were like, no, now the voting goes on in the midst of Tuberville's hold. They changed it to remove this whole idea that, Tuberville forced his hand. Tuberville clearly forced his hand. Coach, from the beginning of his hold, said you can, if you really need some folks in charge, officially, because half of them, they're not officially approved, but they're acting in the position anyway. But if you really want somebody like the head of the Joint Chiefs approved, you can bring them up individually. And Schumer and the Democrats said, no, we can't. We can't do that. Until yesterday, when Coach Tuberville threatened himself to bring up 3 nominees. He would propose voting on just 3. And Chuck Schumer got wind of that and beat him to the floor. And, well, here's Chuck saying we're going to advance this, but also trying to do damage control. Essentially saying that, it wasn't Coach Tuberville won. He's won nothing. I think we're still in the middle of this fight, folks, but let's listen in.
The senior senator from Alabama, Senator Tuberville, for more than 6 months has continued his brazen, reckless hold of hundreds of routine, non-political promotions of senior military officers. Democrats have said all along that these promotions should move forward together as these nominations have for decades in the past. That they should have happened a long time ago. They should have happened the way these promotions have been done in the Senate until Senator Tuberville arrived. They should have been done quickly and in a bipartisan way. Instead, the senator from Alabama decided he would take the unprecedented step of holding up these promotions because he held a political position on abortion that doesn't have the votes to pass the Senate and is opposed by the Commander-in-Chief and the Secretary of Defense. This poorly conceived tactic has also been opposed by the Senate Republican leadership. Leader McConnell and Senator Thune have both voiced grave concerns about the path that Senator Tuberville has taken.
Is any of it a bad thing? He did something unprecedented. This is the United States Senate. We're almost dead. We're certainly brain dead, so we must do what we did decades ago. Because the United States is in the same shape it was in the year 2000. It's pretty much in the same shape as 1990, 1980. We've been doing this for years. What are you doing stepping in here and actually playing hardball with the administrative state, with the Biden administration, with your fellow senators? How dare you do something unprecedented? You invite senators up here, folks, only to go along with what we already were doing. You don't dare elect somebody who might rock the boat. That's not how democracy works. Democracy is when you obey. Democracy is when you sit down and you go along to get along. Learn your lesson, Coach Tuberville. You've got to learn to obey before you can command. Well, that wasn't Tuberville's approach. So Schumer goes on and on and on, says, oh, it's brazen, it's reckless. And you know what? The policy that Tuberville is still holding, well, that's not going away. The Pentagon and the Biden administration, we Democrats, we're not going to budge on this. Because we believe in violating laws because we think we're morally superior. And of course, that means, being able to pay for somebody to travel and whatnot to terminate their child. Great policy. I thought the Hyde Amendment actually is a good compromise. That, half the country at least thinks a lot of abortion is just straight up murder. How is it moral to force a person to pay for something they think is murder? Is akin to child sacrifice. How is that moral? To force people into furnishing that point of view. Well, because I'm always right and y'all are just wrong. Oh, you're a child. So many children. How about some damn humility in this world? And maybe some respect of, we have our differences. That ain't gonna change anytime soon, but we could breathe with this little thing called liberty. But no, you must force the issue, and we'll do it by creating a new precedent that undermines the Constitution. That's what I love about Chuck Schumer. Coach Tuberville did something unprecedented. So unprecedented. Y'all do unprecedented things every day. But you only seem to like the ones that give the establishment more power, the government more power, the administrative state more power, especially these spineless cowards in the Senate that would rather have the administrative state do all the dirty work while they sit back and pretend to fight one another. We gotta go along. So I'm done with Schumer for the moment. In a second, we'll be bringing up Coach Tuberville's response. But Schumer essentially caved and said, well, we're going to bring up these folks for a vote. But he didn't win anything. Tuberville didn't win a daggum thing. Well, that's not what others are saying. For instance, Joni Ernst said Senator Schumer just proved he could have moved these military promotions months ago. He held our service members hostage for purely political reasons. Senator Katie Britt. As I've said previously, Senator Schumer has the power to schedule votes on each of these nominees. Today's move only confirms this has been true all along. Oh, and John Cornyn actually spoke up. Wait, John Cornyn? That empty suit is actually taking a stand on something? Senator Schumer could have broken this logjam months ago by filing cloture like he did today on the nominee for chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Yeah, he could have. And what I love is there are a lot of folks, Cornyn in particular, there are a lot of folks that are straight up establishment. They go along to get along. They don't do anything unprecedented. They're the wise section of the party, right? But Tuberville was so dogged in his stance, and it's not stopping, we'll play that in a second, that he's actually moved along the old corrupt Republican leadership. Beautiful stuff, Coach. Beautiful stuff. But again, I don't think this is the end. We've only just begun, but Chuck Schumer clearly blinked first. More news and views after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Picture this. A serene, tranquil resting place surrounded by nature's beauty. A place where memories are cherished and loved ones are forever remembered. We're talking about your final resting place, and it's never too early to start planning for it. Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka has been family-owned and operated for over 55 years. We understand the importance of pre-need planning. You can make decisions that reflect your personal wishes. You can choose the perfect location, whether it's a serene garden, a peaceful mausoleum, or a place in our cremation wall. Pre-need planning alleviates the burden from your loved ones during a time of grief. By planning ahead, you can secure today's prices, protecting yourself and your family from future cost increases. So why wait? Contact Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka today. Your final resting place should be a reflection of your unique journey. Take control of your future and make pre-need planning a priority. Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka, where memories live on.
This is your roving reporter, and today I'm talking with a famous broadcaster.
Hey man, what's happening?
Now, I understand you radio people move a lot, is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, how does this affect your taking care of your retirement money?
Oh man, I don't give that a second thought because my buddy David Ernest, he's my money man.
Your money man?
With the money plan.
I see.
So no matter where I go up and down the dial, David has my back, you know?
I'll bet you know some phone numbers our listeners could call to talk with David Ernest.
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
And he has a website at retirewithernest.com.
Hey, you're on top of it today, man.
I also understand that you hold some sort of a record in broadcasting.
Yes. I was the first person to put together a show with myself, a duck, a chicken, and a goose. But it didn't last long. We got taken off the air.
Why were you taken off the air?
Too much foul language, man.
Oh, my.
So I wasn't crazy about that one myself.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Tired of wasting your money on testosterone booster products that just don't work? We don't blame you. That's why Nugenix Total T lets you try before you buy. Just text ENERGY to 369-369 to claim your complimentary sample. Why have millions of men already trusted Nugenix for a man-boosting increase in their testosterone levels? Well, nothing else is like it. It contains testofen, a patented key ingredient shown to work. Nugenix Total T boosts free and total testosterone levels to help you feel better at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom. It's the #1 doctor-recommended brand and #1 at GNC and #1 at Walmart. But don't take our word for it. Try before you buy. If it works, keep using it. If not, keep the sample. You've got nothing to lose, but you could gain energy, muscle, drive, even more passion. Text ENERGY to 369-369. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ENERGY to 369-369.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Nothing wrong with a floor vote on these nominations. I ran for Senate so I could vote on behalf of the people of the state of Alabama. I didn't come up here just to outsource my job to the Pentagon or the White House. Yet that's exactly what Democrats want to do. That is the current position of Senate Democrats. The Constitution says we make the laws here in Congress, not in the Pentagon and not in the White House. Now, this is not about me. It's about the Senate and the Constitution. This is a win today for the legislative branch of government. Voting gives all senators a voice for their constituents. The Constitution says that the Senate is to advise and consent to the president's nominations. Over the last 6 months, Democrats in this chamber have actually complained that the Senate has too much power. Senator Schumer made reference this afternoon to proposals by Democrats to make the Senate weaker. Senate Democrats have been more than happy to go along with executive overreach when a Democrat is in the Oval Office. Democrats have spent the last 6 months attacking me for standing up to an illegal and immoral new policy. Many of these attacks have been wrong on the facts. First, they said I was leaving important jobs open. That is false. Then they complained that we have acting officials in many important roles. They claim that generals and admirals just can't do the job as an acting official.
Coach Tommy Tuberville, folks. That was yesterday afternoon from the floor of the Senate. And I'm going to continue playing that. He says it's not about him, and I believe him. But this is a personal win. I believe it was a talk host up in Huntsville, Phil Williams, who said they called him the Riverboat Gambler for a reason. And he gambled big on this hold. He has not been deterred. Despite all the name-calling in the press, he has unprecedented thick skin. And you're starting to see some daylight out of this. And again, I find it amazing to see him drag Republican leadership who didn't want to, don't make us do this, Coach. We don't want to do this, Coach. We don't want to. No, Coach, don't make us. No. And then now they're singing his praises and calling out Chuck Schumer. Good job, Coach. Fantastic job. Before I keep going with his comments from the Senate floor yesterday, this part of the program brought to you by XI Repair. And there at XI Repair, Jonathan Strange and his team are ready to help you with all sorts of electronics repairs. You can do desktop, laptop computers, top-end gaming consoles, but of course they specialize in smartphones. So if you've got a cracked screen, they can fix that, usually in under 30 minutes for an incredibly reasonable fee. Maybe you've got a dirty port and your charger's not connecting. Nobody likes a dirty port. Maybe your battery's not holding a charger. You dropped your phone in the toilet or the pool or wherever. You got water damage, left it outside overnight. They can fix all that there at XI Repair, again, for a very reasonable cost and very quickly, too. Now, if you do have a big involved job, they're going to make sure you're jam up and jelly tight. They're going to make sure you're all right. I know from personal experience, somebody had to bring in a big old, very expensive computer. They're like, okay, sir, it's going to be a while to order all these parts. So we're going to give you image machine. So he could still essentially run his computer at home while he waited on his original machine to work. It's that sort of service and expertise that you can expect there at XI Repair. They can also sell you brand new smartphones or, they can do data recovery. So if you're about to get divorced from that SOB who's soon to be your ex-husband and he tried to delete incriminating messages, you knew what he was doing with Becky. Have your legal counsel contact XI Repair and, they'll take care of it for you. Check them out today. XIRepair.com is a great way to get the job started. XIRepair.com. Or give them a call at 777-1234. That's 777-1234. And be sure to tell those fine folks there at XI Repair that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. Let's go back to Coach Tuberville here. Continuing his remarks. This is yesterday in response to Schumer. Big win by the fella.
Senator Reid came to the floor 2 weeks ago and said, we have no effective military leadership in several branches of the military right now. One member of the House said the military is paralyzed. I don't even think the Pentagon would defend these accusations. Democrats still have never shown me one fact to show that we were behind on readiness. It's just not true. Just last week, General Charles Flynn, and our top Navy general in the Pacific, said he hasn't noticed any challenges because of the hole. Not any. Over the weekend, the outgoing chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, said our readiness is better than it has been in years. This hole is not affecting readiness. But if Democrats want to complain, then they should look in the mirror. I don't control the Senate floor. The Democrats do. In a typical week, we work 3 days. Those aren't the kind of hours people are working back in my home state of Alabama. This is one of the least productive Senates in our lifetime. Democrats can't have it both ways. Either they can confirm these nominees through regular order, or they can stop complaining about acting officials. Democrats say this is a large backload of nominees. They say it would take a long time. Well, I agree. It's been a big backlog. But again, Chuck Schumer allowing the backlog to build up over 6 months is his fault. We could have been confirming 1 or 2 a week for the last 200 days. It would have taken us just 4 hours of voting each week. But we didn't do it. We took another angle of just sitting back and watching. Chuck Schumer refused again, again, and again. We don't have a lack of leadership in our military. We have a lack of leadership right here in the United States Senate.
Hear, hear.
Despite the lack of leadership, senators are perfectly capable of voting. Voting is our job. That's why we were sent here. So to be clear, my hold is still in place. The hold will remain in place as long as the Pentagon's illegal abortion policy remains in place. If the Pentagon lifts the policy, then I will lift my hold. It's easy as that. That's been my position from the very beginning.
Yes, it has. And he's not budging. While Chuck Schumer clearly blinked. If you got any friends that are addicted to the left-wing press, just tell them that. Like, Schumer clearly blinked. Like Tuberville got him. They're going to make comments otherwise, call people all sorts of names. That's what politics has become. Actually, it's what it's been for a long time. But hat tip, literally, to Coach Tuberville there. We got more of this saga. Laura Ingraham sat down with Coach for a pretty lengthy interview. We'll share some of that coming up. But real quick, you had other senators speaking out. Now, one senator who deserves credit of being by Tuberville's side very early in this fight is Senator Mike Lee of Utah, which Utah is the damnedest state, damnedest red state. I don't mean that theologically necessarily. I just mean y'all are baffling. Like, I look at the state of Utah and I'm like,
I said, what in the world is this?
Right. Love that guy. They send up Mike Lee, who is a awesome, rock-ribbed constitutionalist, libertarian conservative. And they also sent us Mitt Romney. Oh. Yeah, what's going on in Kentucky? We got Mitch McConnell, and then we got Rand Paul. Like, it's night and day in many ways. So Mike Lee, who was there early on with Senator Tuberville, said this. Secretary of Defense brought this on himself and the Department of Defense by adopting a policy designed to flout 10 U.S.C. 1093. If confirmation delays really are imperiling national security, then the Secretary of Defense should immediately suspend his abortion travel policy, which is what it will take to get the confirmation process expedited. He can't blame the Secretary of Defense without implicating himself. Since when is funding for abortion travel, which the Department of Defense never funded until 6 months ago, essential to American national security? Now, our representative here in this part of the state, in the House, Representative Barry Moore, said, quote, Schumer could have approved every military nominee by scheduling votes over the last several months, but he cared more about funding abortion travel than military readiness. Major win for Senator Tuberville, and the hits keep on coming. I got to hit another break. We'll come back with that Laura Ingraham interview. If you have any reaction at all to this news of Coach Tuberville, maybe you hate what he's doing. Hey, call up. Give us hell. 272-9228. First, this part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing. And there at Cole Plumbing, James and his team are ready to help you with plumbing emergencies, of course. In particular, they have this proprietary pipelining technology that allows them with minimal discomfort to you and your home to get in there and solve those problems. Could be a burst pipe inside or outside your home. So what it means practically is they're not going to have to dig up a huge hole in your yard or like a trench trying to find the leak. They're not going to have to tear out a bunch of drywall, which can be even messier than digging up a hole outside. No, with precision and expertise, they can solve that problem for you. And they can help you solve a lot of common problems too, from clogged drains to low water pressure, maybe tree root invasion on your property if you've been there for a while. Could also be something like a gas line leak. Could also be something like your sump pump not working. What you need to do if you're looking at a particular issue, just go to coleplumbing.com. They have all their services on offer there, splayed out for you to see. And of course, it's not even just a place where you go if you have a problem. Maybe you want to upgrade. Well, Cole Plumbing can help you do just that. Maybe to a tankless water heater system, or it could be you want to run a new water line as you're renovating your property. So check them out today. Again, coleplumbing.com, or give them a call. In fact, save their number, 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole. More news and views in the afternoon. Well, after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Actor portrayal based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to Montgomery Men's Health. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough good about them. They took care of me, followed up, and made adjustments to make it happen even better. I even learned I had low testosterone, which they were also treating me for. And I have never felt better. If I were you and you're like me, I'd give them a call today at 334-440-3663 or go to montgomerymenshealth.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by JB Windows and Siding. Call Jones Brothers. You'll be glad you did.
JB Windows and Siding has what you're looking for. Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Rich Thomas. Our string of beautiful days and comfortable nights continues, and even the first weekend of fall looks pretty good. Today, more sunshine, tolerable humidity continues, with a high today around 87, mainly clear tonight, overnight low 65. Tomorrow, Friday, last official day of summer, more sun, high 87, and we'll be in the upper 80s on Saturday and Sunday, first weekend of fall with plenty of sun. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At ASE Credit Union, financing your next adventure is easier than ever with rates as low as 5.25%. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union, your life, your goals, your ASE.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome in the afternoon. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. That's 272-9228. First, though, let's go to the phones, talk to Chris. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Oh, yeah, I just want to say Tommy Tuberville, give him a thank you for showing just what Chuck Schumer's made of and stuff. But and also that fellow that did the screaming about the airplane crash. Here, about 2 or 3 years ago, or 4, something like that, there was a politician that went around the news media that screamed while he was stumping for somebody. I'd like to see y'all compare the two of them screams.
Wait, are you talking about Howard Dean?
Yes, I believe that was him.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. Like, stay on the line for me, and here we go. This is the scream from the guys on the F-35. Damn. Okay, here's the scream from Howard Dean. See, I got to give it to the guy. Okay, I got to give it to the guy with F-35.
They need to get together and have a contest.
Oh, yeah. What a character.
I said, what in the world is this?
All right. Y'all have a good day, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. 272-9228. So let's go now for a moment here to Coach Tuberville, because we got to celebrate. If you're rooting for him, maybe you're licking your wounds. You're like, why did Schumer blink? That's fine. But if you're celebrating today, seeing Coach Tuberville, well, he's not completely the same, over and done with completely. He's not completely done. But there is enough here to where you should be paying attention. So, in particular, what Laura Ingraham focuses on, and they do it better than I could do just by my lonesome, is the meltdown, I believe, by the corporate press and the Democrats, but I repeat myself. So sometimes I wonder who's in charge, the Democratic Party or corporate media. I think it might be a few folks that go between both worlds, honestly. Yeah, don't think of it all compartmentalized. The party is everywhere, so to speak. So here is Laura Ingraham with Coach Tommy Tuberville. Let's listen at least at the beginning of this.
Of our service members,
our potential adversaries are paying attention to this and is affecting how they view the United States.
For someone who's born in a communist country, I would have never imagined that actually one of our own senators would actually be aiding and abetting communist and other autocratic regimes around the world.
Oh my goodness, the Pentagon leading this media blitz, not against the communist Chinese, whom they love, but against a Republican senator. Well, their PR guns are pointed at Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, who has held firm against giving unanimous consent to a slew of Pentagon promotions. Now, these promotions, which include the service chiefs of the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps, have historically been confirmations without much controversy. But Senator Tuberville is within his right to put a hold on simple unanimous consent votes, which means just mass confirmation without votes on individual nominees. He's specifically citing the Pentagon's new rules that promote easier access to abortion since the Dobbs decision. So let me translate all of this for you. Democrats have a lot of ways to solve this problem. One, they could do a deal with Tuberville, hands off on the abortion stuff that's not within the military's mission. Two, they could hold real votes, just call a vote on the big nominations. But they don't want to do either of those things. Or they don't want to put vulnerable senators like Manchin or Tester in a tight spot. Instead, they want to say that abortion is integral to the military mission. We know it isn't. But they see this issue as a winner in 2024. Joining us now is Senator Tommy Tuberville. Senator, you're
Laura Tuberville. Tubbs. You could have called him the Riverboat Gambler. Tuberville? What is wrong with you people that ain't from here? Anyway, take it away.
aiding and abetting the enemy now because you actually are holding firm against what they consider to be crucial to the mission of our military, which is access to abortion. Your response to this?
Well, Laura, I grew up in a military family. My dad was career military, died on active duty. There's no bigger fan of the military than me up here. I'm on Armed Services Committee. I didn't think I'd come up here and ever be associated with terrorism and communism as a United States Senator. No, that's wrong. This is coming from the talking heads of the White House. These guys, I know them, all the secretaries, I know them, I've dealt with them, had them in my office. They're good guys, but they're using the words that's coming from the White House. Nobody's told them no in 3 years, okay? They are not used to saying, well, you mean we can't get our way here? They're not getting their way. And I told Secretary Austin this almost a year ago. If you do this, I'm gonna block your generals and admirals from promotion. They didn't believe me. They put all this into effect. And as you said, I can hold just so many of them. If they bring them one at a time, they could get them all they want. But the problem is, as you said, they don't want bad votes.
Right, so they don't want these senators who are vulnerable, like Manchin or Sherrod Brown, right, or Tester in Montana, to have to vote on some of these more controversial nominees. Now, who in your mind...
Here, I'm going to back it up. I'm stop it and I'll back it back up. But one point to underline here. I don't think it's just this latest move by the Pentagon to facilitate abortion. I think something like we had the conversation with Judge Napolitano earlier this week. If you really marshaled the arguments together, got the people and the votes together, and again, this gives a lot of hope because Tuberville moved the establishment his way. Because if it's one thing the establishment doesn't like is losing. So if you can show them, hey, you might not agree with me ideologically, we might not have the same exact principles and values, but do you want to win? So Tuberville showed them how to do that. But do you think this is the only administrative state move that should be held up by the Congress? Of course not. In fact, it's probably thousands and thousands of laws that need to be revisited. So why not continue to tell them no? If you want to make changes in this wild and crazy, topsy-turvy world, you have to do it the right way. Through the Congress. Well, unless the president has direct authority, then maybe Biden can do something here or there. Maybe Trump could do something, yeah. There are plenty of powers to the president given by law that Congress passed. But if you don't have the authorities to do it unilaterally, there's always a legal argument about it, you have to go through the legislative branch. It's the way it was designed. And is it slow? Is it arduous? Yes, that's a feature, not a bug. It's the whole idea of speed, haste. You know, it is amazing how slow these guys are until there's an emergency. So let's just break the piggy bank and spend trillions and trillions. Let's bail out the big banks. Let's bail out the airline companies. Oh, let's have big pharma essentially become billionaires overnight. More and more. 40 new ones? The Congress needs to follow Tommy Tuberville's lead. At least those who believe in the constitutional separation of powers. Because it's when power checks power, ambition checks ambition, with one branch checking the other, that liberty breathes. It's actually the fight that gives us liberty. Within certain confines. Don't be bringing out your cannon or anything. So, again, a hat tip, big hat tip to Coach. But let's go on. This is Laura's next question to him.
Nominees. Now, who in your mind is a potential problem beyond the issue of abortion, which I agree with you on, and it's not part of the military's mission, shouldn't even be part of this. But who potentially is just, over the top on the woke meter and not really qualified to be in this position of a nominee for a top position in the Pentagon? Well,
Now with this opportunity of us sitting back and looking at this for 6-7 months, we vetted every one of them, all 300 of them. I wouldn't start with just one. There is a huge percentage of the people that they want to elevate to another star, possibly to even a 4-star. By the way, we've already got 44. That's way too many as it is.
Yep.
But there's a lot of them that all they want to do is
check
teach.
Boxes?
Yeah, check boxes. Talk about DEI. Everything is about equity. One thing, Laura, about the military, it's not an equal opportunity employer. I don't care if, as CQ Brown says, I want more black pilots. Well, I'm fine with that. If they're the best, there's no second place in war, okay? We have to have the best. And right now, we are so woke in the military, we're losing recruits right and left. Secretary Del Toro over the Navy, he needs to get to building ships. He needs to get to recruiting, and he needs to get wokeness out of our Navy. We've got people doing poems on aircraft carriers over the loudspeaker. It is absolutely insane of the direction that we're headed in our military, and we're headed downhill, not uphill.
Could we...
Wait. That's something Coach also said to me. When did poetry become woke? I mean, you might think it's like fruity or something, but poetry can be powerful. Like some of your best poets and fiction writers came out of the experience of war. I don't know about that, Coach. I know there are a lot of folks that want to, jump off a cliff if they hear me start reading poetry, so I kind of get it.
confidently take on China?
Oh, no. No, and we're running Russia into China. They're combining up, and now BRICS is very, very concerning to me because they're controlling all the petroleum in the world.
Petrodollar threat.
Yeah, because Pinocchio Joe, he does not want to dig for any oil.
What could they offer you to stop your block on these 300 or so nominations?
Well, I've told them from day one, listen, here's the deal. I ran in Alabama for a Senate seat. I represent the people of Alabama. They want to vote on this, okay? And it goes to the senators. In 1985, Joe Biden voted for this policy in the military, this abortion policy. It's been great. They have had no problems. I asked them in a hearing, okay, tell me the problem. Let me see the list and letters of everybody complaining about this. Zero complaints. But now, because of Roe Wade, they want all federal employees.
Oh, is this political? They want the issue for 2024.
Exactly.
Yes?
Exactly.
Is there anything stopping them from bringing any of these nominees, especially for supposedly really important positions, to a vote? Like they just took 5 weeks off, right? 4 weeks off?
Yeah. And it'd take about 3 hours to do one nominee, which is fine.
So they're not doing it. Why again, Senator?
Well, because they don't want to put anybody in harm's way.
Heaven forbid senators have to actually defend their votes on particular nominees.
But they could.
And again, it's not just this issue. There are so many issues where it should be the Congress, the elected representatives of this country, actually making their voice heard and being accountable for what they believe in and the policy they want to see instilled. This sort of like shrugging and letting the interagency process within the administration work out. It's just absurd, and I'm very much fed up, no pun intended, when you see these bureaucrats, career folks who are not elected, come in front of your elected officials. You know, you can always, not always, but most of the time, see who's the boss in a given situation. You can kind of see who's the leader, who's in charge here. And often, it's not the elected officials who look like they're the ones in charge. It's more like they're a formality. They're an annoying thing we, professionals here within the federal government have to deal with from time to time. All these obnoxious political people. We, the career civil servants, we are above politics. Yeah, that's your mistake. You are not above politics. I don't care if you're a diplomat. I don't care if you're a scientist. You're not above politics. Nobody's above politics, except maybe God himself. Everybody's got a political aspect to them. And it's actually that naive understanding, oh, we're above all this. We're important. No, you're not. Look at the voting pattern. 90-something% voted for Biden in Washington, D.C. proper. 90-something% of people voted Democrat. If they're all staffing up the government, they would never tilt the scale. Are you kidding me? 272-9228. Let's finish up here.
Could bring this policy, take it back. I told them, just take the policy back, go back to the old policy, bring it to a vote, and we'll vote on it. And whichever way it goes, I'm fine.
They don't want any accountability?
They don't want any vote on this because, as you said, there's going to be bad votes on the Democratic side.
Senator Durbin spoke out on this today, and he had some choice words for you, Senator.
What Tuberville is doing, creating so much hardship for the military families that are involved here, is just inexcusable. What he's doing to them is shabby and low-life effort to make political hay over an issue that should have been resolved years ago.
All right, a Senate that's propping up the CCP in many ways. It now calls you a communist, and people calling you a communist now, they're saying that you're low-life.
Well, they're saying readiness is being hampered here. They're saying that the generals and admirals are most important. The most important people we have in the military are the sergeants, the corporals, the privates, the second lieutenants, the first lieutenant, the people that actually do the work, not the people that ride around these black limousines in Washington, D.C. and have a nice office over in the Pentagon. The Pentagon's way too big as it is. We need to send more money back down to the people that actually do the work because we got way too many leaders at the top, and it is getting way out of control.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Great to hear a great conservative Republican. She's got a little bit of a popular streak in him and some common sense. That's my read on Tuberville. He ain't a libertarian like me. He doesn't remind me of like the old Reagan conservatives, though I suspect he respects all that. He comes across as, well, a new kind of Republican who's actually going to fight. Who would have thunk it? 272-9228 if you want to get on the program. More news and views in the afternoon. Well, after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A tropical storm warning in effect from coastal North Carolina to Delaware, ahead of a potential tropical cyclone that's headed toward the East Coast. A storm surge watch also in effect. Meanwhile, Hurricane Nigel was still at sea over the Atlantic. Nigel centered now about 500 miles southeast of Cape Race, Newfoundland. A man convicted of the 1996 killing of a University of Oklahoma dance student has been executed. 44-year-old Anthony Sanchez pronounced dead following a lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. U.S. applications for unemployment benefits fell last week by 20,000 to 201,000, according to the Labor Department. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 130 points and the NASDAQ losing 134. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word FAITH to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Rich Thomas. Our string of beautiful days and comfortable nights continues, and even the first weekend of fall looks pretty good. Today, more sunshine, tolerable humidity continues, with a high today around 87, mainly clear tonight, overnight low 65. Tomorrow, Friday, last official day of summer, more sun, high 87, and we'll be in the upper 80s on Saturday and Sunday, first weekend of fall with plenty of sun. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
1819 News.
A public hearing was held in Montgomery on Wednesday regarding an issue in St. Clair County when it comes to coal ash. The Environmental Protection Agency hosted the event. They're considering whether or not to put a halt to the permit process coming from the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. The EPA says that the standards do not adequately protect waterways or residents. Several of the residents from St. Clair County showed up at the meeting to urge the EPA to move forward in restricting those permits, while Alabama Power sent their Vice President of Environmental Affairs, Susan Kamensky, to the meeting to say that the company's plan is safe and compliant with state and federal regulations. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Brian Dawson here, CEO of 1819 News. I'm also the host of 1819 News, the podcast, and we'd love for you to join us by listening to our weekly show on all the top podcast apps, both in audio and video format. At 1819 News, the podcast, we are in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama. Every week, we're having important conversations with guests from across this great state, all with the goal of equipping Alabamians to be in pursuit of a free and flourishing Alabama with us. New episodes are released weekly. I hope you'll join us.
A woman accused of shooting her aunt at a home in Loxley 13 times has now been extradited from Mississippi to Alabama. 21-year-old Michelle Campbell is accused of that shooting on September 9th and then fleeing the state. She was found and arrested in Starkville a day later. The aunt remains in critical condition. A federal jury hands a guilty verdict to two brothers who are charged with conspiring to kill Sarah Starr back in 2017. Prosecutors claim that Jason Starr brought his brother in from Texas to shoot his ex-wife as she was leaving their Enterprise home. Prosecutors say that Jason Starr was motivated to have his wife killed in order to avoid paying $3,000 in monthly support. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Hey y'all, this is Steve Kirkpatrick for Big Block Designs. I haven't always been a drafter. I grew up in the radio TV broadcasting business in Pensacola, which is why I know the value of advertising on Blue Water Broadcasting. And you know the first thing you do when you get in the car is turn on the radio. Blue Water Broadcasting gets results. Big Block Designs has grown because we advertise with Blue Water. It works. Want to grow your business? You should too. Have a better day.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
During Prattville Carpet's summer sale, you can get Mohawk waterproof flooring, regularly priced at $11 per foot installed, right now priced at $7 per foot installed. That's huge summer savings. And get interest-free financing for up to 12 months with approved credit. Call 285-8117 or visit prattvillecarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Hey, Tammy, let me tell you about how to bring in those big deer.
Randy, I know how to attract the big bucks.
Ah, very funny. At Prattville Farm Center, we've been helping hunters be successful for over 35 years.
We have the products, supplies, and knowledge you need to get those big bucks.
That's right, Tammy. We don't believe in gimmicks or magic seed. We just believe in sound planting practices that work.
So come see us today at 1154 South Memorial Drive in Prattville.
Now that we're done talking about those big bucks, how about those cute does?
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
News and views in the afternoon, 272-9228. If you want to join the conversation. And also, again, folks, we are live streaming the show. Just go to YouTube. The channel is called Joey Clark Live. It's that straightforward. Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Like and subscribe and hit the alert button so you get alerts when we go live. But, of course, you know the schedule. Noon to 3 every day. Now, one story I wanted to read pretty quickly here is, some of this, the Wall Street Journal had this today. And it makes you wonder, what is going on in the world? I mean, it's a crazy story of industry. I mean, what's the line from that fellow sold F-35?
I said, what in the world is this?
So it's Apple's spectacular and secret failure. I believe this is the most one of the most cash-heavy companies in the world. And they said the new iPhone models unveiled last week are missing a proprietary silicon chip. It's titanium made, okay. But they're missing a proprietary silicon chip that Apple had spent several years and billions of dollars trying to develop in time for the rollout. The 2018 marching orders from Apple's chief executive, Tim Cook, to design and build a modern chip, a part that connects iPhones to wireless carriers, led to the hiring of thousands of engineers. The goal was to sever Apple's grudging dependence on Qualcomm, a longtime chip supplier that dominates the modern market. The obstacles to finishing the chip were largely of Apple's own making. according to former company engineers and executives familiar with the project. Apple had planned to have its modern chip ready to use in the new iPhone models, but tests late last year found the chip was too slow and prone to overheating. Its circuit board was so big, it would take up half an iPhone, making it unusable. Investors had counted on Apple saving money with an in-house chip to help compensate for weak demand in the larger smartphone market. Apple, which hasn't publicly acknowledged its problem here, much less its shortcomings, is estimated to have paid more than $7.2 billion to Qualcomm last year for the chips. Engineering teams working on Apple's modern chip have been slowed by technical challenges, poor communication, and managers split over the wisdom of trying to design the chips rather than buy them, these people said. Teams were siloed into separate groups across the U.S. and abroad without a global leader. Some managers discouraged the airing of bad news from engineers about delays or setbacks, leading to unrealistic goals and blown deadlines. Just because Apple builds the best silicon on the planet, it's ridiculous to think that they could also build a modem, so to speak, said a former Apple wireless director, J.D. Renaud, who left the company in 2018, a year before the year the project began. There were two reasons for the push, said former Apple executives and engineers familiar with the matter. Apple believed it could replicate the success of the microprocessor chips it designed for iPhones. Adoption of those chips fattened profit margins and improved performance for billions of devices. Second, Apple wanted to sever ties with Qualcomm, which it had accused in a 2017 lawsuit of overcharging for its patent royalties. The company settled that suit in 2019, and Apple, facing the expiration of its previous Qualcomm agreement, announced a deal last week to continue buying the company's modem chips through 2026. Apple isn't expected to produce a comparable chip until late 2025, people familiar with the matter said. There could be further delays, these people said, but the company believes we'll get there eventually. We'll eventually succeed. Apple found that designing a microprocessor, essentially a tiny computer to run software, was easy by comparison. Modem chips, which transmit and receive wireless data, must comply with strict connectivity standards to serve wireless carriers around the world. These delays indicate Apple didn't anticipate the complexity of the effort, said a former longtime Qualcomm executive. Cellular is a monster. Apple's push to build more of the various semiconductors used in its product stretches back more than a decade. In 2010, the company began using its own processing chips in iPhones and iPads. The chips helped Apple outperform many of its Android rivals, which relied on chips from Qualcomm, a Taiwan-based MediaTek, and other makers. The company in 2020 began replacing processor chips from Intel, used for years in Mac computers, with a proprietary chip that allowed its laptops to run faster and generate less heat, improvements that helped boost flagging Mac sales. The Apple chip also saved the company an estimated $75 to $150 on every computer. Credit for the success of Apple processor chips brought praise and increased authority to Johnny Srouji, the company's chip leader. After shipping the first iPhone, we decided that the best way to deliver the best experience to our customers is our own and develop and design our silicon in-house. But here's the deal. When you get into the meat of the story, what I take away from it is we are in a technological race. Very clearly in a technological race. Now, I long time thought, and the conventional wisdom, I believe, for a long time was the United States, in terms of its innovation, in terms of its know-how, the ability of the engineers that we have here native, that we attract here, that nobody can beat us in that. We're a few years ahead of China, let's say. 3-4 years ahead of China. But the Chinese keep stealing all this stuff. They're catching up real quick. Now I'm wondering, are we still even 3 or 4 years ahead? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Or do American companies lack the know-how so far right now to compete in this microprocessor game, this chip manufacturing game? And I don't care how many billions of dollars the Congress spends. I mean, you look at what Apple did here, $7.6 billion for nothing. Yeah, this is a very costly, say, innovation horizon. And right now, the head start is in places like South Korea and Taiwan in particular. So it makes me worry when you start to see American companies, especially big ones with such a big name as Apple, and I enjoy their products very much. But it's just makes you wonder, do we still have that innovative edge that can allow us to get out of our dependency on some of these other places around the world? It'll just put us in a much better situation where we aren't as reliant or worried about Taiwan being invaded by China. Be much better indeed. So they say at the end of this, Apple isn't going to give up. They hate Qualcomm's living guts. So maybe some corporate hatred will actually lead to innovation and success. Always funny what is somebody's potential muse. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And there at Montgomery Men's Health, well, they can help you men out, especially if you're experiencing the symptoms of low T, low testosterone. And so here's what you need to do. Call up Montgomery Men's Health today. That's 440-3663. 440-3663. And for only $99 in about an hour, you can know your testosterone numbers. And if you do, in fact, have low T, and you might know already because you're so run down and tired, you have no libido to speak of, you're just kind of miserable all the time, cranky, nothing's working properly. Well, that could be low T. And if you do, in fact, have it, Montgomery Men's Health has treatments there that can truly change your life. Most men after these low T treatments experience higher energy, better gains at the gym, brother, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns. You might even notice an increased sex drive, and there's a lot right with that. Well, you should at least get it right once in a while. So again, that number for Montgomery Men's Health, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to montgomerymenshealth.com and be sure to tell them, well, you heard about them here on News and Views in the afternoon. Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. Rupert Murdoch has officially resigned today, which is, well, everybody saw it coming. I believe that hit show by HBO, Succession, is very much based on the Murdochs and that whole dynamic. Obviously a caricature of the Murdochs. But actually, I think the way that show starts is it looks like that guy's about to retire and he takes back his company. Brilliant show, by the way. A little depraved, like most modern shows on HBO. A little depraved, but I think it's probably an accurate reflection of what goes on at the top within C-suites and all sorts of executive clubs in corporate America, especially the media. Now, another story here that really caught my attention. Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said Wednesday that if Iran acquired a nuclear weapon, his country would seek to do the same. If they get one, we have to get one, the Crown Prince said in an interview with Fox News' Brett Baer, adding that it would be necessary for security reasons and for balancing power in the Middle East. But we don't want to see that. Crown Prince Mohammed warned of the dangers of nuclear weapons and said, we are concerned of any country getting a nuclear weapon. When asked about Iran in particular, that's bad. That's a bad move, he added. He suggested trying to get nuclear weapons in general is a fruitless endeavor, since deploying them is equivalent to declaring war on the world. Even if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, if any country uses a nuclear weapon, that means they are having a war with the rest of the world. The world cannot see another Hiroshima. If the world sees 100,000 people dead, that means you are in a war with the rest of the world. On Tuesday, the Iranian president said that the United States must demonstrate in a verifiable fashion, that it intends to return to the 2015 nuclear deal, which former President Trump withdrew from in 2018. The Biden administration was in talks with Iran to restart the agreement last year, but discussions fell through, and the United States has not indicated an interest in re-engaging with their discussions. It might have something to do with the Iranians selling all those drones to the Russians. Now, one thing Senator Tuberville said at that interview we played at the end of last hour that I agree with completely, it's great to hear the senator say this. Good job, Coach. Is that he is paying close attention to BRICS and the moves they're making to get out from under dollar domination, dollar dominion. They're tired of the United States world reserve currency. And you better believe it, sanctions has long been our go-to tool. Go ask your senator about sanctions and how much they love love sanctions. Washington, D.C., ever since they took charge of the world's currency, has been using this until the cows come home. Do they always work? No. Do they often lead to war? Yes, very clearly. But if you want kind of a personal way to understand sanctions, you know how we always talk about cancel culture and, you know, like Russell Brand's in it right now, Tim Ballard's in it right now. There's so many others where all of a sudden everything is dropped. You're not allowed to be in polite society. So they don't kill you. They don't lock you in a cage. But they will shame you and remove you from polite society. That's essentially personal sanctions. And you better believe, especially if the government goes to a central bank digital currency, it's like, well, Joey, you have clearly I have the wrong political opinions, so we're going to have to shut off your bank account, or we're not going to let you purchase certain things. There's your social credit score from China. Sanctions abroad are being brought back home. And in fact, surveillance methods, agitation methods, all sorts of things started abroad in whatever war, whatever revolution we were helping to foment. It seems like those same exact lessons are now being brought back home to be used on the American people. So at least there are a few folks up there in D.C. starting to see that if we want to hold true to our liberty, to the United States Constitution, as best as we can, because it seems our history has been constantly flaunting the Constitution while claiming to be faithful to it. It just takes a few to lead the many. If you actually stand strong, if you stand in a stubborn way or dogged way, or maybe you don't like him, so he's being so pig-headed, no matter the characterization, sometimes you end up leading when you take a stand. And I'm not just talking about Coach here, talking about anybody up there in D.C., and you're starting to see more and more of that. J.D. Vance coming out today. I'm very much against more spending to the Ukraine war, more money to the Ukrainian government. Rand Paul, I believe, is taking a stand on this. You're seeing more and more senators. It's great that it's the Tea Party senators and the Trump Revolution senators standing up and saying, hey, enough. Not to mention all the fighting still going on within the House of Representatives as we get close to a government shutdown, which isn't actually a shutdown. Everybody still gets paid. And no, like, what if we actually shut it down? That's why I like Vivek Ramaswamy so much. He's running on shutting down 75% of jobs up there for the federal government, something I appreciate. Let's just let it out here. Don't accept the frame of Washington, D.C. Stand strong. And even if you don't win in the end, you at least stood for something. 272-9228. Appreciate all the phone calls today. 272-9228. Again, Eddie has the day off, folks. Let's hit another break, but first, as part of the program, brought to you by Dylan Rings. And they're at Dylan Rings. Josh and Leslie Ryder are ready to help you. Now, they're a full-service jewelry shop there at Dylan Rings, which means, well, they can really do it all. They can do things like jewelry repair, watch repair even, jewelry appraisal, custom design. I'll tell you more about that in detail a little later in the show. But the custom design work by Josh Ryder is amazing. Spa treatment, stone replacement, pearl stringing. Of course, they have an amazing selection there at Dylan Rings. You can always go to DylanRings.com. I'm looking at it right now and check out what they have on offer. I mean, they've got stuff that's, a lower price point. They're sort of everyday jewelry where you like it, it looks great, but it's not going to be something you cry over if you mess it up or lose it. And of course, they also have that permanent jewelry option that Eddie and I got. It's great for parties, especially like, say, a wedding shower or a baby shower or something. Or maybe, commemorating a friendship or a team or something. That's a lot of fun. It's like they can come to you with a small soldering machine and start to do these permanent bracelets. You can put charms on it and whatnot. And of course, don't forget that until the end of this month, the end of September, Josh and Leslie Ryder are doing a big birthday boy sale for Josh's son, Sean Dillon. That is the namesake. He's the namesake of Dylan Rings because he just had a birthday here in this great month of September. They're going to give you 25% off on select items. So just ask for the birthday boy discount. And of course, you should probably do that by just going in there. 119 Brown Springs Road, just off of Atlanta Highway. I remember it's kind of where the old Fun Zone used to be, that big old platform over there off of Atlanta Highway. And be sure, whether you stop by or call them at 215-3669, be sure to tell Josh and Leslie Ryder that Joey from News and Views in the afternoon sent you. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group. Here's your Real Estate Minute. What's the secret behind selling your home fast and selling it for fair market value or above? There's no secret, but here's some suggestions that I've learned over 46 years in the real estate business. First, price it right. Based on other sales in your neighborhood, what should it sell for? Second, make sure all the little and big repairs you may have put off all get done before you put it on the market. Third, consider making some improvements to your house first, repainting inside and out, updating the flooring, professionally clean the whole house. Fourth, consider helping the buyer with a portion of closing costs and providing a warranty too. Number 5, don't try to do this on your own. Hire a professional realtor to provide facts, tips in selling, and guidance all the way through the transaction. Also work with the best realtors from the Goodson Group, fully trained, service-oriented folks. Call Bo Goodson 221-2883 or the Goodson Group 551-0225.
Is your cell phone or iPad cracked, broken, or not working right? Don't let the big carrier stores sucker you into a new $1,100 device. Let XI Repair fix your device today. XI Repair fixes cell phones, computers, laptops, iPads, game consoles, drones, and more. Their certified technicians fix hundreds of devices every day. When your device needs care, call XI Repair, 334-777-1234, or Google XI Repair.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, a fascinating interview last night. If you missed it, you should watch it, with Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas. Now, he just went through a crazy impeachment ordeal. I didn't understand. I should have talked to Jack Campbell more about this, how absolutely insane Texas politics is, was and is and continues to be. Especially the reign of the whole Bush cabal and Karl Rove, who don't seem to want to fight for conservative causes that much. They just kind of want to rule the roost of the Republican Party, and then I guess they're the Quisling Republicans, so to speak. I didn't know how, he was just accused of something without any evidence. He was impeached, and Kim Paxton was removed from office without pay. He couldn't even, and given a gag order, he couldn't even defend himself, as all sorts of stuff's being leaked to the media. But he's been vindicated. He was acquitted, essentially, by the Texas State Senate. Now, I'm going to skip over all that, folks. It's about 30 minutes of a 45-minute interview. That 30 minutes is where they lay out that entire saga. What the heck happened with this impeachment? Why did they go after you? Did they really bring in 2 DOJ lawyers from the Biden administration to help run this whole ordeal? Yeah. If you want to get all the dirty details, and it's amazing, go check out Tucker Carlson's full interview with Ken Paxton, Attorney General of Texas. But I'm jumping in about 30 minutes into this thing. So this is Ken Paxton and Tucker mostly talking about voter fraud. And I think this is exactly why they were going after Ken Paxton. Why would the Democrats focus on Texas? Well, number one, Paxton has something like 48 lawsuits, winning 77% of them against the Biden administration. And even the ones they don't win, they're really slowing down that whole agenda. But in particular, it's more than this lawsuit, that lawsuit. You got to remember, folks, put your mind back to 2020. A few days after the election. You remember how on a Friday the media called it for Biden? And of course, when the media calls it, that's what the official constitutional process, right? Yeah. But corporate press calls it. And people start to think, man, this wasn't done on the up and up. Turns out Texas is one of the states that very much goes after voter fraud. One of the few in the nation that is as dogged about it. And Kim Paxton was the guy who said, you know what? I do all sorts of work to make sure there's no voter fraud here in Texas. In fact, I sued and told President Trump, you better get other AGs or other interests to sue in these other battleground states. He sued to say, we're not doing mass mail-out voting. I'm not going to let you steal this thing. And then he was the guy that went to the Supreme Court and said, because of the violations of the voting process, because of impropriety in the voting process in other states, we, Texas, want a hearing in front of the court. The presidency, that presidential election affects us all. It's not just up to one state, and the court did not want to touch it. Did not want to touch it whatsoever. It would have been fascinating if Paxton had actually gotten his day in front of the Supreme Court. But, like I said, everybody's political, including Supreme Court justices. So that brings us to this point in the interview between Tucker and Paxton. And he's going to start to get into the detail. I would love to talk to some of Alabama's officials about this, because this guy seems like a leader. I think this guy's got a bright future, at least on the right wing. Let's listen in.
Yeah. So is there, if you're not living in Texas and you just look at Texas and see these trends going on, particularly the immigration trends, it feels like Texas is going to be a Democratic state pretty soon.
I think that's the goal. I think that's why it's so important that we fix things like the Texas House and we have a message that resonates with the voter, which we do have that message. But when you have this civil war inside the party that Dade Phelan and Karl Rove have created because they don't control it, I think it leads us down a very bad path. And we also have a voter fraud issue because we now can't prosecute voter fraud in Texas because the Court of Criminal Appeals in Texas struck down a statute from 1951 that directed the Attorney General, I wasn't there in 51, but we would prosecute voter fraud because these local DAs who are controlled by Soros in the big counties like Travis, which is Austin, or Harris, which is Houston, or Bexar, which is San Antonio, they are not going to prosecute. So we were doing it. We had 900 cases, so this whole idea there's no voter fraud, complete fabrication. We were prosecuting. I only had one lawyer when I started to prosecute this. I got the legislature to give me more. We were fully busy prosecuting voter fraud. And then suddenly the Court of Criminal Appeals, all Republicans, said, nope, it's unconstitutional for the Attorney General to be in court because he's in the executive branch. That was their reasoning.
To be in court, I thought.
I'm not allowed because they said that was a judicial function, so I no longer could be in court. Now, if they're right, the Court of Criminal Appeals, they're the final court in our state on criminal matters. So they're like the Supreme Court in that. The Supreme Court is the final say on civil matters. So they were able to strike down one area of law for us. If they're right, the Supreme Court should tell me that no, I shouldn't be allowed to be in court on civil cases either because I'm in the executive branch. And if that was right, every attorney general in the country should no longer be allowed to go to court.
I'm confused. So the attorney general of the state of Texas is not allowed to prosecute voter fraud?
That's correct. Even though the legislature directed it. It's one of the things that I'm told to do 4 things in the Texas Constitution, and one of those things is such things as are required by law. Who makes the laws? The Texas legislature. The legislature passed a law in 51 that's directed the attorney general to prosecute voter fraud, largely because I think that they didn't trust the local DAs to get that done because it's very political. And so that's what we did. We prosecuted voter fraud. And we had plenty of it. And now, guess what? There's no prosecution for voter fraud.
But that's the core defense of democracy, is prosecuting voter fraud.
If we don't fix this, if the Court of Criminal Appeals, who I am concerned was put there by George Soros, because no one knows who they are. They're all Republicans, but we don't. Even Republicans don't know who they are. If I go to a room of Republicans, I say, can you name one person on the Court of Criminal Appeals? I'm lucky if I can get one. And so I think it was a genius move by getting the right people on there. We now have no defense because the local DAs won't do it. And now I'm supposedly not allowed to do it. So I tried to get the legislature to pass a law to reauthorize it. The Senate overwhelmingly passed it. And guess what I was told in the Texas House by Dave Phelan's team? We don't have time for that. We're not going to do it.
We don't have time to prosecute voter fraud?
We don't have time to reauthorize that statute so that I can go back and start prosecuting voter fraud and go change the makeup of the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. I was told by the Speaker, we don't have time for that. In my opinion, most important issue we have, because every other issue falls on whether we can elect the right people.
Of course, and whether voters have the power to send their choice into office. I mean, do voters have power is the real question.
Exactly, and if you think about it, if we lose the state, the laws are going to change. All the voter laws are going to change. We're going to be like California where you can just mail in ballots. And what I know from mail in ballot, having fought this for the last election, winning 12 cases on mail in ballots.
Wow.
That unfortunately other states like Georgia did not fight. I know that mail in ballots are completely unreliable. If you just mail them out to everybody, you have no idea who's sending them back. There's no verification. When they say you can't prove voter fraud, they are right. Because normally what you have to do, if you're going to mail in ballot, you have to satisfy the laws under certain categories. You're over 65, you're out of state, you're disabled. You sign an affidavit and you send it in with your application that this is my signature. And then when you send your ballot back, they send you a ballot in an envelope. You sign that envelope with your signature, stick the ballot in, and they verify the signature. It's not the best, not as good as photo ID that we have for all other voting, but it still is something. But when you change it to mailing it out to everybody, we have no idea. We have no signature verification. We have no idea who's voting. So when they say, you can't prove voter fraud, that's the system that they like, because we can't prove voter fraud if we set up a system that's completely open. And that's what's happening in America.
So, wow. And he's actually fought this. Again, this isn't just some guy with a theory, with a talk show or some podcast or something. The Attorney General of the state of Texas. A guy who was clearly kneecapped, and he luckily survived it. Watch the whole Tucker interview, but this guy, the way he lays out how he was fighting this mass mail-in voting, it's a shame it wasn't done in other states. In fact, in a second, he goes into how Georgia dropped the ball on this, Pennsylvania dropped the ball on this, Wisconsin and Michigan dropped the ball on this. They didn't fight this. Oh, it's COVID, it's scary, we'll just do away with all sorts of good standards and practices. One that if any other country did, the United States would probably invade for being not a democracy or some stupid crap like that. So, we're going to continue on with this in a second because I think this is just great stuff. More coming up, too, about Peter McCullough calling out the World Health Organization, Dr. Peter McCullough. As well as there's some local stuff going on. Well, there's this one lady who keeps going to all these events. Fancies herself an activist, but she has a long, not necessarily like a big criminal record, but just a long list of run-ins with people at different meetings and whatnot. She was, this lady, we'll get to all the specifics in a second, but she poured water on some State Representative Kyle South's, former state rep Kyle South's head during a public hearing, and has a lengthy history of disruptive behavior. So we'll display that to you. I'm sure you've seen this on some public events you go to. It might be why you stay away from the public events, because it brings all the crazies out. Well, not everybody at, say, a city council meeting is crazy, but some of y'all are. You know who you are. Come on now. No, I'm not talking about you, Ed Grimes, and I'm not talking about you, Mayor Reed. I'm certainly not talking about you, Glenn Pruitt. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all be crazy. Anyway, this part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And there at Alabama Home Mortgage, Kim Williams and her team, well, they can help you with buying a home, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, or if it's not your first time going through this. Don't you want to work with somebody who's, number one, local, a company that is trusted, folks that will actually sit down with you, get to know you, get to know your goals in owning a home or refinancing that home. So before you call some 1-800-LENDER, you need to call your neighbors at Alabama Home Mortgage. They can get you the best possible deal. Don't call a bank or credit union, call Alabama Home Mortgage. All they do are mortgages. And they're VA home loan certified there. So if you're a veteran and you're looking to take advantage of those benefits you earn through your service, through the VA, they're wise to the latest VA support programs out there. I mean, it's the best game in town. It really is. Like with refinancing, if you're trying to consolidate debt or get credit card debt off your back, if you're a veteran, you can refinance up to 100% of the home's estimated value, which is an incredible deal. Also, just great rates. I don't know all the specifics. I'm not the one who runs Alabama Home Mortgage, but just amazing deals for veterans. And even if you're not a veteran, again, these are great local trusted folks that are going to get you the right deal to put you in the right position in your financial life and life in general. So check out Alabama Home Mortgage today. You can always call them at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. Before I close up shop here, folks, it looks like we've got a bunch of people commenting on the show. Marjorie says Tuberville, being like, 'cause Stone Cold said so. Well, yeah. I mean, that's about right. Who doesn't love Stone Cold? The Romex Angler says, I know what Randolph White was saying. Wait, you mean this guy?
I said, what in the world is this?
That was the guy who saw the F-35 crash. It made my morning when I saw that fella, because he spoke for me, not just with the F-35, but with most news stories. I look at Twitter, especially before I have my coffee in the morning, and just, nuke it. Make it go away. But Romex Angler claims that I know what Randolph White was saying. One night I ended up between a screech and a whistle. I damn near didn't make it out. And then he's got his usual fashion advice for me. Romex Angler goes on. Of course, folks, I'm reading from the live stream. Just go to Joey Clark Live on YouTube. If you're so kind, like and subscribe. It's a great way to take the show with you when you're not in the car, where you're not in front of a traditional radio, and you can see my ugly face at the same time, if you so please, and my bad fashion choices. He says, I'm not going to give advice on your look today. Oh, okay. But, Joey, I will say that's a nice snake. How long do you think it would be if it were straight? And the snake on my hat? I'm sure if you stretched it out, you could gain an inch or two. But who's counting? Like, don't be comparing your snakes. We'll be right back.
Joey Clark.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Actor portrayal based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to Montgomery Men's Health. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough good about them. They took care of me, followed up, and made adjustments to make it happen even better. I even learned I had low testosterone, which they were also treating me for. And I have never felt better. If I were you and you're like me, I'd give them a call today at 334-440-3663 or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
This is your roving reporter, and today I'm talking with a famous broadcaster.
Hey man, what's happening?
Now, I understand you radio people move a lot, is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, how does this affect your taking care of your retirement money?
Oh man, I don't give that a second thought because my buddy David Ernest, he's my money man.
Your money man?
With the money plan.
I see.
So no matter where I go up and down the dial, David has my back, you know?
I'll bet you know some phone numbers our listeners could call to talk with David Ernest.
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
And he has a website at retirewithernest.com.
Hey, you're on top of it today, man.
I also understand that you hold some sort of a record in broadcasting.
Yes. I was the first person to put together a show with myself, a duck, a chicken, and a goose. But it didn't last long. We got taken off the air.
Why were you taken off the air?
Too much foul language, man.
Oh, my.
So I wasn't crazy about that one myself.
Sweetheart?
Yeah?
I've been thinking, I'm tired of this house.
What? You want to move?
Yeah, but we'd have to do some updating, to get top dollar.
Updating really does make a lot of sense, especially when you're talking about lighting. That's where Crosby Electric comes in. They'll help you choose a stunning pendant fixture over your bathroom sink, dramatic flush mount lighting over your kitchen island, maybe some LED panels to backlight your countertops. Energy-saving LED lighting has really come down in price. Or how about a new ceiling fan that moves air more efficiently than fans built only 10 years ago? The bottom line, updating your lighting almost always delivers a full return on your investment.
Well, sweetheart, the house looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Guess I'll put out the for sale sign.
Wait.
What?
I don't wanna move.
Find out how to turn your house into the home you'll never want to leave. Visit crosbyelectric.com or call 272-2085.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Alabama Wholesale Lumber, the best quality building materials in the river region for decades. From common builds to special orders and local delivery. Call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi everybody, this is Rich Thomas. Our string of beautiful days and comfortable nights continues, and even the first weekend of fall looks pretty good. Today, more sunshine, tolerable humidity continues, with a high today around 87, mainly clear tonight, overnight low 65. Tomorrow, Friday, last official day of summer, more sun, high 87, and we'll be in the upper 80s on Saturday and Sunday, first weekend of fall with plenty of sun. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Web Bobo with Capital Tractor. For work at your hunting camp or a job site, you need a utility vehicle you can depend on. The Kubota Sidekick from Capital Tractor, power to haul and top speeds of 40 miles per hour. Kubota and Capital Tractor in Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Again, 272-9228. I don't know if the phones are working or not, but you can try the number if you like, folks. 272-9228. Now, breaking news from the desk of Donald John Trump. He just put this out over Truth Social. Is that the name of his site? I'm looking at it here right now. 1 second. Yeah, here's what Donald J. Trump had to say. Big win for Tommy. It was in all caps, so I kind of put it stressed like that. Unlike McConnell and his group of automatic Democrat yes votes, Tommy T is willing to take on the radical left fascists and thugs that are destroying our country. What a difference. And then sharing a story about how Schumer caved to Tuberville's, well, stand. Beautiful stuff there, Coach. Well done, sir. Well done. Now, let's go back real quick to Kim Paxton and Tucker Carlson. Paxton, I believe, goes into more detail about this whole mail-in voting thing, why it's so bad for the nation.
That's why Georgia, which most of us thought was a kind of conservative state, became one of the most left-wing states in the country, you believe, because of mail-in ballots.
I sat there on election night. So I told the president in I think it was May, I said, Mr. President, I have 12 lawsuits in the most liberal counties. I'm losing in every county because they sued in liberal counties where all the judges are liberal, Court of Appeals are liberal. I'm going to have to find a way to get to the Supreme Court or the Fifth Circuit before it's too late, before they mail those ballots out, or you won't win Texas. I guarantee you, if Harris County can send out 2.7 million ballots, you won Texas by 600,000, you will not win. And if we have multiple counties doing that, they'll just figure out how many votes they need. We won every single lawsuit, all 12. And I told him, we lose one, you're done. He didn't believe me. And I said, you've got to watch this in other states, because if this is happening in Texas, which it looks like it's a national program, I can only focus on Texas. You better make sure this doesn't happen in other states. And sure enough, Georgia, which had the same margin of victory for Trump 4 years prior, they don't stop it. The governor, the AG, they sign a consent decree, and they have mail-in ballots with no signature verification. They have drop-off boxes, and they allow all these mail-in ballots. And guess what? Now Georgia, that had the same margin of victory for Trump, now suddenly we have a 8 or 9% win for Trump by protecting the ballot box. In Georgia, he loses by what, 14,000? I don't know, but it was a small amount. And I knew when they stopped counting votes on election night, I'm sitting there watching going, this is what they would have done in Texas. And all the
What was that about?
What's that?
They stopped counting votes on election night?
Because what they needed to figure out was how many real votes there were, so they could figure out how many mail-in ballots to apply to the election. That's what they would have done in Texas, I'm convinced.
So you think that was fraud, right?
I have no doubt, having been through that whole process.
It wasn't just a water leak?
It was definitely planned. I mean, it would have happened in Texas, I promise you.
But can you just stop counting ballots on election night when everyone's watching TV? Oh, I know.
Have you ever seen that before, ever? For 3 years?
Well, you tell me. You're the one.
You're
in politics.
I've never seen it before in my life. I was like, I knew it when they stopped, and Trump is leading in all these states. I knew exactly what they were doing. Because there's no way to know where those mail-in ballots came. Anybody could have filled them out. Anybody. There's no way to know where those ballots came from.
That's not a dangerous conspiracy theory?
I watched it happen. I was a part of it. So they tell me I'm crazy whenever I talk about it. They tell me that I should shut up. As a matter of fact, they're going after my state bar license right now for going after election fraud in the overall election. So on top of all of this, I've got to deal with the
But why wouldn't Karl Rove be upset about that? I mean, he's a defender of democracy,
Very
right?
good question. Why is Karl not worried about that? He doesn't seem to
so
care.
If you're Karl and you're taking all this money from billionaires, some of whom I know who are nice people, and I think they think it's helping, or Karl's convinced them that he's helping somehow.
Yes.
Why wouldn't preventing voter fraud, mail-in ballots, which you bet voter fraud, be your number one priority?
I think for anybody that cares about democracy, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, that should be the number one thing. And for the media to constantly shut down the conversation about this, and for social media companies, technology companies to shut down the conversation, tells me that there's a reason they don't want us talking about it. It's insane how you get treated for even bringing it up. When in reality, I don't think there's a more important issue, even than immigration, anything, because all those other issues will be affected by whether we have real elections that we can trust.
And you think it comes down to, or the most important issue is mail-in ballots?
For what I know, I don't know the machine stuff. I've tried to get people to bring stuff to prove it, and I've never seen proof. So I would.
I haven't either.
If they
open-minded, but
I'm
I haven't
open-minded,
seen it.
but I have never had anybody bring me proof. But I do know 100% that they cheat with mail-in ballots. I know that for a fact, and we have prosecuted people for that. We had a lot of cases. It wasn't just like, oh, well, this. You know why they can tell the narrative that there's no voter fraud? Because no one prosecutes voter fraud in the country except us. We used to. Now there's no cases. Who prosecutes? Can you name cases in other states? You know what? They don't prosecute it. The prosecutors do not prosecute it, even though it's a violation of law and it affects the fundamental basis of our democracy.
Well, it ends democracy.
We don't have it. If you can do impeachments like this and you can have mail-in ballots, we don't have democracy. We have control by a few people.
Which, fancy word, controlled by a few people, oligarchy. I think that's the fancy word for it. Good to know that guy survived this kneecapping attempt, this impeachment fight. What did he say the other day before even this Tucker interview? I'm trying to find it here. I think he said something to the effect of, I'm going to be the Biden administration's worst nightmare. They better watch out. After trying to take me out and failing. So I think Ken Paxton is going to be rising, and I could see a challenge. One part of the interview that I skipped over, they talking about John Cornyn, the senior senator there from Texas. Of course, there's Ted Cruz, and whatever you think of Ted, he's fighting the fight for conservatives. But Cornyn is more a creature of the machine, of the Bush machine. And if you want to hear the full interview, get kind of inside Texas politics, inside a lot of establishment GOP politics and how they were trying to ruin Ken Paxton's life, go check out Tucker on X. Always a great resource. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. This part of News and Views brought to you by Pest Pro Services. And they're at Pest Pro Services. Ashley and her team, well, they're ready to help you with any of your pest control problems. Could be you're just looking for a company that you trust. Pest Pro is the place to go. Get them to be your everyday pest control company. So if you're looking for just a quarterly schedule, they got your back in that regard. Now, there might be something specific you want done, like laying down bait for those termites so they never actually damage your property. Well, at Pest Pro Services, they're the only company in the river region with a Termidor HP2 injection unit. Yes, it's a very impressive injection unit at that. They bring the very best and newest technology to your home from Pest Pro Services. They can also help get rid of mosquitoes. If you really do have a mosquito problem in your yard and you want to actually enjoy the backyard or the front porch without spraying grandma with a bunch of off, yeah, they can help you with all of that there at Pest Pro Services to everyday pest control needs, like I said earlier. So check them out. Give Ashley and her team a call at 265-9990. That's 265-9990. You can also always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell them, well, you heard about them here on News and Views in the afternoon. Quick break here. I'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
For 65 years, Guardian Credit Union has been your trusted financial partner. And now we're proud to extend that trust further by introducing Guardian Insurance Services. Whether protecting your home, car, or even your business, we've got the coverage that fits your needs. Our team is here to guide you every step of the way with the personalized service you know and love. Call 334-819-7555 for a free quote today. Guardian Insurance Services, building on 65 years of trust, now safeguarding your future.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back. Now, short segment here, but I've got a big victory for free speech you need to hear about. I guess victory is the name of the word today. You got to take the wins where you get them, even if they might be small. But this is from Blaze Media, Glenn Beck's outfit. Louisiana trucker. A Louisiana trucker wins right to display flag saying F Biden and F you for voting for him after town tries to stop him. Oh my. A trucker in Louisiana won the right to display a flag with a vulgar anti-Biden sentiment after a town tried to stop him. Ross Brunette filed the lawsuit against Grand Isle, a town on the Barrier Reef in the Gulf of Mexico, after officials fined him for flying a flag that read F Biden and F you for voting for him. Now, that's a little crass, of course. But even crass speech is protected speech. On Friday, the fella settled a lawsuit with Grand Isle, which agreed to rescind an order barring the flag. The town was also ordered to pay this fella $40,000 in lawyer's fees and damages. The agreement said the trucker was wrongfully cited for engaging in constitutionally protected speech for flying flags with political messages. He had filed a lawsuit in federal court accusing the city of infringing on his First Amendment free speech rights as well as his rights under the Louisiana Constitution. His speech has in fact been chilled. Read the lawsuit. He is fearful of and refrains from engaging in his protected political speech in Grand Isle out of fear of government punishment or further retaliatory action. The settlement needs to be approved by a federal judge. But, you know, even crass messages of, hey, F Biden, well, they're allowed under the First Amendment. You do have to wonder, all this, there's folks in my age and younger where it's like, well, if you say those things, that's dangerous. Like, when did y'all become a bunch of conformist weenies? Seriously. Like this passive-aggressive bullcrap. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Ukrainian President Zelensky briefing U.S. lawmakers on the state of the war and told them Ukrainians are winning. Zelensky facing Republicans who are now questioning the flow of American dollars that has helped troops in the fight against Russian forces. The average long-term U.S. mortgage rate edged up again this week, another setback for would-be home buyers navigating an increasingly less affordable housing market. The average rate for the benchmark 30-year home loan rose to 7.19% from 17.18% last week, according to mortgage buyer Freddie Mac. And Florida's Brightline will begin running trains between Miami and Orlando on Friday, reaching speeds of 125 miles per hour. Stocks are sharply lower. The Dow is down 220 points. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, and evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elites are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word FAITH to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Rich Thomas. Our string of beautiful days and comfortable nights continues, and even the first weekend of fall looks pretty good. Today, more sunshine, tolerable humidity continues with a high today around 87, mainly clear tonight, overnight low 65. Tomorrow, Friday, last official day of summer, more sun, high 87, and we'll be in the upper 80s on Saturday and Sunday, first weekend of fall with plenty of sun. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you once again for voting ASE the best credit union and best mortgage company in Central Alabama's Reader's Choice Awards. We're honored to serve our members for 69 years and counting.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
1819 News.
U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville goes more in depth about a Senate rule that he employed this week that ultimately forced Democrat Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to take action on confirming at least 3 high-level military nominations. Tuberville spoke about it on Fox News with TV host Laura Ingraham.
What I did is I used a rule of the Senate that's not used very often. I got 17 senators to sign on to a petition. Then I took it to the floor and said, I'm going to do my own cloture vote. I'm going to bring my own vote up. And Schumer says, no, we can't let him do that. He'll grandstand on us. We'll do it. So I forced his hand, and we're going to do 2 more tomorrow, which will be good. But still, I have my holds on, and they're going to have to change this policy, or we're going to go through a long, drawn-out process.
So you're pretty new to the Senate. How did you figure out this?
I got good people that work for me.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of good rules. You don't want to use them unless you really have to. But we got to the point where we needed to confirm some people.
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Covenant Rescue Group seeks to directly support organizations and agencies that are fighting the global battle against human trafficking. They do this through funding, procuring, and advocating. You can go to covenantrescue.org for further details. They need your donations, guys. Hop on and donate.
A sewer blockage in Mobile has caused 1,500 gallons of wastewater to flow down the streets of Spring Hill Avenue. The Mobile County Health Department says a grease blockage is what caused the backup. About 500 gallons are confirmed to have gone into 3 Mile Creek, and so the Mobile County Health Officer is advising residents to thoroughly cook any seafood that's caught in those waters. A Foley man is under arrest for making a terroristic threat. Police say that 22-year-old Dylan Green called the 911 dispatcher to say that he was armed and planning to cause a shooting. Police were able to locate Green at his apartment complex and took him into custody. No weapons were found at the scene. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Kia of Auburn is excited. It's football season again. Is it time to upgrade your ride? Then you should check out the 2023 Kia K5. It stands out from the pack and is comfortable, sporty, and comes loaded with standard technology features. Don't settle for less. Demand the best. Stop by 1687 South College Street today or shop online at KiaofAuburn.com. Kia of Auburn is a proud supporter of Auburn Athletics. Kia of Auburn, where you are always number 1.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. A lot of comments coming in on the live stream. Appreciate y'all liking and subscribing. Just Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Of course, you can watch on Twitter, X, and Facebook as well, but would love if you like and subscribe to Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Mark Cumby says, Tuberville for president. It is a big day for Coach. And then Michael Victor putting in there that Ukraine's Territorial Defense Forces transgender spokesperson, Sarah, was suspended on Wednesday, effective immediately over his threat to assassinate Russian propagandists. Well, I guess you just don't say it out loud. It's fine to post it on a website. Well, without any further ado, folks, really do appreciate all the live stream comments and watchers. Let's go to Craig Monger of 1819 News, shifting gears here to more local stories. Craig, how you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I am just doing swell, Joey. How are you?
I'm doing great, but actually, before we get into this crazy lady, you were one of the first people to show me these these Ukrainian hit lists that are online.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've looked into it, but yeah, it was a publicly available site that you were able to go to. You had to follow a few links because I don't know about you, I don't read or speak Ukrainian or Russian, and so I misclicked a few things. But yeah, sure enough, you can go on these sites and there's various and sundry people, most of which I didn't know, but a few were actually relatively common known public figures on this website, and they had. And it was essentially a hit list, and some you could actually see with a a red banner across their face that said that they had been since disposed of, and there was a few pictures actually that were unpleasant to see. But yeah, it remains one of the more unbelievable things about the ubiquitous support for that administration during the course of this. And of course, this is like a year ago that I found that, but it was interesting nonetheless.
Well, I remember the one you found, and there are a few of these sites, I believe. Actually, it looked like it originated when you follow the rabbit hole back at Langley, Virginia.
Yes, I'd actually forgotten about that. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it did. And of course, the domain hostings. There's all sorts of shenanigans that go above my head that can be done with that. But it does bear noting that shows that's where the site originated, and of course, that is the site of the greatest state organization that has ever existed and exists only for our freedom and democracy.
Now, going to the story you just did for 1819 News, I'm showing on the live stream the still image of this lady pouring this on, the former representative's head here. And so just to give the story, I don't even want to characterize it. Her name's Ann DiPrizio. What's going on here?
Yes, well, in the clip, we actually had, we had a reporter there who was just carrying on about the EPA's hearing on Alabama Power's wanting to dispose of coal ash in a specific way, and some people, including the EPA, had concerns. And unfortunately, this video didn't come from our reporter; it came from someone else. But it showed that this woman got up and began speaking, and her voice was immediately familiar to me. And I only caught the side profile at first in the video, and she starts talking about various sundry things, and then immediately begins pouring out of a small jar water on Kyle South's head. Kyle South, who obviously was a former representative and resigned earlier this year to take over for Chamber of Commerce. And he, I don't actually think he said much, if anything, in support of Alabama Power's position. So he was an odd target, but
well, and
go ahead.
Do you think this is safe to play on air? This is a short clip.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no obscenities in this video.
I've got it pulled up here, folks. If you can watch on the stream, but let's listen in together.
That's dead last in the nation for drinking water quality, according to JD Power and Associates, July 2023. I'm a former researcher at the UAB School of Public Health. I did my dissertation research on vulnerable populations.
Okay, so far, if you're not watching, folks, she kind of reminds me of, like, if you ask an 8-year-old, like, so what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that. No, and say, but it's pretty standard, annoying fare. But now, here comes.
Everybody knows that this is a spectacle, right? You created a spectacle. Y'all might say, oh, well, that's crazy. That's a crazy, unhinged lady. Yeah, I might be at this point, because we've tried every reasonable. You're just sitting there.
And as she's saying all this, folks, getting in Kyle South's face, saying, you created the spectacle, she continues to pour water out of a cup on his head. What in the world?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I don't think that Kyle South made the spectacle, or like I said, I don't even think that he spoke in favor of what she's apparently resisting. But this lady has not found a cause that she's not willing to act a buffoon over. So. And
so you said you recognized her voice, and she does have a lengthy history of doing something like this.
Yes, I actually, I first experienced her in person when I was attending a meeting about birth centers for it was a public meeting at the Alabama Department of Public Health. There was a lot of women there, and she seemed to take sort of when I first arrived, she seemed to take like a position of prominence, and I realize now that she was just loud. She told me that she doesn't talk to press, and then she proceeded to interrupt every single interview that I tried to conduct with people that were at this meeting. And then afterwards, when the meeting actually took place, she was yelling at the woman, the ADPH woman who was running the meeting. She yelled at some guy in the audience to get off his phone. She gave the finger to the women, and then eventually she had to be escorted off by police. And then she shows up at the Otago County Library meeting a little bit later, and I hate myself for not recognizing that it was the same woman. I thought it was, but I was just thinking, there's no way. This would be too much of a coincidence that the same crazy lady gets kicked out of two separate meetings that I'm watching. There's no way that's happening, but it turns out I was wrong.
Now, you go to a lot of these meetings, I think more than I've certainly gone to. And, you know, when I've done town halls, say with Ed Grimes, it's usually everybody's just concerned. They're good folks, good neighbors. But there's always that one person with the crazy eyes and the tone of voice where you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. We went from 0 to 100 very quickly here. Does this happen that often in all your experience of going to these sort of public forums and meetings?
This is something that I've tried to explain to a lot of people who observe these things passively. And it's something that I've said, that advocacy and activism brings out the crazies no matter what side you're on. So there's always going to be a tinge of that. Now, it bears repeating that it tends to be whenever there's a side that's arguing for a more lefty position, that tends to have the more more numbers of people acting out, not able to control their emotions, making zoo noises through whatever hearing that you go to. But it is sort of common that you'll have one or two. But this madam, she certainly takes the cake as far as the extent to which she is willing to go. I've never seen anyone quite act as flagrantly as she does.
Well, and it just gives folks a little insight also to what you have to put up with. Though I think everybody in the press is on guard these days, and honestly, good riddance. And not to put you on the spot, but did you happen to see the Dave Portnoy video that he put out where he called up a Washington Post reporter?
Oh, yes, I did. It's always fun to see the Washington Post get a little dirt on their face.
Well, and essentially, Portnoy was doing a big festival, Pizza Fest, where he's supporting local pizza shops and small business. He's done it a few years, I believe. And this reporter, was going to different sponsors and saying, are you sure you want to work with a misogynistic, problematic person like Portnoy? Dave catches wind of this, calls her up and just confronts her directly. And I wanted to ask you, Craig, because you are a reporter, you've been doing this now for a little while, and she's claiming that, well, sometimes I'll say those provocative, false things to advertisers in order to get them to talk so I can get the full story. When I heard that, I might have thrown something at my brand new TV.
Yes, everyone knows what the reporter was trying to do, because it's the modus operandi of the Washington Post and one or two of the agencies and institutions that we have in our fine state. That's not really. It's the concept of journalistic ethics has really taken a downturn recently. It's sort of an idea of the past. Journalism and activism has sort of become synonymous terms. You never want to, in a situation like that, just use crazy inflammatory language in order to elicit a response, even though I don't believe that that's what this particular reporter was doing. Now, that doesn't mean that if you are contacting someone that you're trying to get information out of, that you don't show all of your cards. You kind of want to let them spin a little doom in their head about what you know, what you don't know, so that they'll reach out and then you can start to have that conversation. That's a far cry from just attempting to smear someone in an attempt to allegedly actually get the sponsor to call you back. That's just not okay. That's not acceptable behavior. It's lying, which is the opposite of what journalism is supposed to be. Amen.
I just wanted to hear from you because I know you do the job. And when I saw that, I really love Portnoy. He called her up direct, folks. He recorded him calling her up, and he did not shy away from confronting her on that. And I think you got to do more of that these days, especially when there are these big stories. You're right. The activism aspect of this is over the top. And one of my things I always cite is, I think it was a New York Times story years ago on Joe Rogan, where you do the little the comma. Joe Rogan, comma, who has a history of saying racist and transphobic things, did this thing, and it's like, not Joe Rogan, UFC commentator, not Joe Rogan, top podcaster in the world. It is interesting how things are framed and characterized, and like it is factual. It's one thing for an opinion writer to give their opinion, but a lot of the stuff seems like they're inserting their opinion under the guise of straight news.
Yes, well, and funnily enough, there's actually one news organization in the state that has that little has that little comma sandwich clarification whenever they're forced to cite 1819 News because they don't want to do the work themselves. And then there's another news organization in the state that will just straight up take quotations and stuff from our story and not cite us or give us attribution at all. It'll say, according to a right-wing website. So see my previous comment about journalistic ethics and the lack thereof in modern-day journalism. But, yeah, you absolutely want to maintain a certain level of decency and truthfulness. But, again, people have come to expect that from news. You expect it on one side, on the right side, when you read this publication, and you expect it on the left side when you read this publication. That's why people really shouldn't trust the media when they read it. They need to read the media for sure, but they don't need to trust it. And the trained eye can spot the activism whenever it's there, although it is oftentimes very subtle.
Well, and not even dogs trust without any, just blindly. Like, if you do them wrong, they remember that too. They might forgive you quicker than a person. But, use your mind, folks. Use your independent mind, especially as we enter into election season. Well, I appreciate you giving me some of your busy time here, Craig. And if folks want to check out what you're writing about, what you're thinking about, how can they do so?
Well, they can see my published works at 1819news.com. They can sign up for the newsletter there. They can also find me on social media. It's just at CraigMonger1819 on Twitter. And that's just about it.
Well, I appreciate it, sir. Talk again soon.
Thanks, Joey. Always a pleasure.
Craig Monger there of 1819 News. Like that fella. 272-9228 This is part of the program brought to you by, Bath Innovations of Alabama. Now, I could tell you about the ABS acrylic shower systems, these high-strength polymer panels. I mean, really incredible stuff if you're wanting to redo, say, that shower or the entire bathroom. I could tell you about their aging-in-place solutions for seniors or for those with disability and accessibility concerns. I could tell you about all the different, faucets and fixtures and little, accessories and add-ons they have there at Bath Innovations of Alabama. But really what you should do is don't take my word for it, as we were just talking about with Craig there. Don't take my word for it. Go to bathinnovations.com. Look for yourself. Start to mix and match. And it could be, hey, I just want to get a new sink. The sink's old. It's discolored. Look at that stain. Ugh. That's not even coming out with elbow grease. We need something new, honey. Or it could be you want to do a full remodel. You want your bathroom to look fantastic, and they have all sorts of options there. As you start to mix and match, the possibilities are endless. So again, bathinnovations.com, and after mixing and matching, go by 2331 Eastern Boulevard. Say hi to Brad McDowell. He's the founder, still the owner there at Bath Innovations of Alabama. Work with this great team. They're great local folks. And their goal is to serve every household here in the river region, which is a heck of a goal. You got to like that ambition. Again, Bath Innovations of Alabama. And be sure to tell them you heard about them here on News and Views in the afternoon. More News and Views, after this.
Not know whether he's coming or going. But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Kickback Ranch and Event Center wants you to join us October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for our annual Frontier Days and Fall Festival. Enjoy live foraging demonstrations and the way life used to be. Face painting, small animals, games, bounce houses, water activities for the kids. Vendors, food trucks, boot walk for cancer, give blood with Life South, and enjoy live music featuring bluegrass with the Southern Gentlemen. The Kickback Ranch annual Frontier Days, October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is $5. Call 286-4140 or go to kickbackranch.net. Be there.
Hunting season is here. It's time for you to get on over to Prattville Farm Center. Here's Randy to tell you all that he's got on the shelf for you to buy.
We got some good deals. We have seed mixes from WMS, Pennington, Kelly Seed. We have every kind of seed you could possibly want. So y'all come on down here and we'll get them green fields planted. By the way, if you need sprayer parts for your equipment, we got that too. Come on down. 1154 South Memorial Drive in Prattville, 365-5400, 365-5400.
Do you have a cell phone or tablet that isn't charging, dying fast, or maybe the screen is damaged? Don't get suckered into buying a new one. XI Repair can fix your current device same day and in under 30 minutes. Their certified technicians fix and recover data from thousands of cell phones, computers, tablets, game consoles, and drones 7 days a week. Give them a call today at 334-777-1234 or visit them online at xirepair.com. For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. By the way, Jason Jackson, appreciate it, man. He says on the live stream, love your hat. Again, go to Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Of course, you can also watch on Facebook and Twitter X at the Joey Clark on Twitter X. Just search Joey Clark on Facebook. You should know how to do it. But in particular, Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the channel, folks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm wearing a Join or Die, the classic American Revolution hat here. Gotta like those symbols from the early founding. They really scream like manliness and forthrightness and freedom and liberty. We're gonna fight for our independence. You know what? It's better to die fighting for your freedom than die on your knees as a slave to the king. You gotta like that. If you don't, well, I don't know why are you still here in this country? Have we changed that much? Well, I hope not. Well, let's start with one quote here. Today, quote, "Today I'm putting congressional leadership and the President of the United States on notice that I will oppose any effort to hold the federal government hostage for Ukraine funding. I will not consent to expedited passage of any spending measure that provides any more U.S. aid to Ukraine." That is from Senator Rand Paul. You heard earlier, Coach Tuberville is now saying, what are we doing here in Ukraine? We're not even winning. What do we have to show for this? Well, you've got more of your establishment types like Mitt Romney. Go ahead and retire today, Mitt. Not tomorrow. Not the next day. Today. Please, Mitt. Mitt Romney, though, that's the best money we've ever spent. Ugh. But there's another new senator in town. J.D. Vance. He put this out on Twitter X yesterday. Yesterday, at a classified briefing over Ukraine, it became clear that America is being asked to fund an indefinite conflict with unlimited resources. Enough is enough. To these and future requests, my colleagues and I say no. Here, J.D. Vance. I want to see more and more American-loving conservative senators. Heck, where are my great anti-war liberals that see through this? Where are you at in the United States Senate? Where are you at in the United States House? I don't see y'all. Because the people that rule the roost of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have way too much in common. But the Democrats have a little more control over their people, their caucus. I would love to see the Progressive Caucus start causing more headaches, just like Matt Gaetz is causing more headaches for Kevin McCarthy. I think the fighting, the division in that regard, political division where you're having it out, you're really sticking to your guns, and you don't budge, it leads you to places you don't expect, which is why it's risky. It's why they don't often do it or like to do it in D.C., but I think it creates better outcomes. When we do sort of unanimous consent and paint by numbers, that's how we've always done. Oh, yes, sir, you help your people, oh, you can help your people. You scratch my back, you... No. When they actually have to improvise and fight there, that's when good outcomes actually show up. In a second, we'll go to a clip of J.D. Vance. Sat down, I believe, with Jesse Waters last night about his position on Ukraine. I think he has it right on the money. But let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
It's Papa B. Papa B.
How you doing, Papa B?
Yeah, man. Yeah, your rant there about where are these left, the politicians on the left, anti-war. Here.
All right.
Harumph.
Well, and there are plenty out there commentating. Like, there are plenty of liberals, like a Glenn Greenwald or a Jimmy Dore. There's so many folks out there, but I don't see them in the Congress.
No, quite strangely quiet. And those are the same ones. I do believe if you go back, a few years, especially the older ones, are the ones that were complaining and hollering and screaming about Vietnam and, other conflicts. They had all their, but they had no problem with the Ukraine issue. The hypocrisy is very thick. So I'm with Rand Paul on that. I like that. I don't see any reason why in the world we should, as a country, continue aid or helping Ukraine if we don't have some sort of end game, something that's good for America in mind.
Right.
I don't see it. The only thing I truly see is the laundry mat is getting messed up over there for our national politicians.
That's the point J.D. Vance is about to make, and I think there are a lot of folks looking into this who are coming to the same conclusion here.
Mm-hmm. All right, so well, I'm enjoying the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Papa B.
Talk to you later.
272-9228. If you want to jump in on the conversation, and let's see, we've got a big comment here from Jason. He says, I've been at odds with my family with my opinion on the war in the Ukraine. It's because you're calling it the Ukraine, Jason. Yeah, Russian. And during the Republican debate, all I cared about was who was for giving more money and who wasn't. No more spending. Here, Jason. Great new commenter here on the live stream. Appreciate that, man. I'm glad you like my hat, too. Because it's all about me at the end of the day. And yeah, I'm trying to think who was like the most clear-throated in that GOP debate. I think we got another one coming up next week on Fox Business. Dana Perino and is it Varney? Or somebody else from Fox Business. Hopefully they'll be all right moderators. I wasn't impressed with Martha and Brett. Nothing against them personally. Love to hear Brett Bayer's Trump impersonation someday. But yeah, the only guy on that debate stage initially, that first Fox debate, I think it was Vivek Ramaswamy, who very clearly said, no. DeSantis kind of hedged, but I think Ramaswamy is pulling people like DeSantis to that position more and more. And again, people want to say, he's just copycatting Trump. Guys, you got to think harder. Like just like you're really struggling there. Like just think a little harder. I mean, don't push too hard. That'll hurt you. But come on. It's not just all about Trump. And that's the beautiful thing. And actually, if you hate Trump, it should scare you. This ain't all about Donnie from Queens. This is a movement of Americans from all walks of life. Often, many of them liberals who feel disappointed, libertarian types who have felt disillusioned for a while. One of my favorite libertarians, a young lady, well, she's not that young, she's about my age now. I guess we're young, 34, 35. She, her first time voting was in 2008, and she voted for Barack Obama. She's the young lady who set that shirt on fire then a few years later, because she was all for that hope and change. I don't think there are folks who necessarily appreciate, who are still dyed-in-the-wool Democrats, and that's your right to be that. I got friends who are Democrats and family members too. But there are a lot of folks in the Democratic Party I think don't realize how jaded Barack Obama made some young folks. Because that 2008 campaign was intoxicating. It was charismatic. It was hopeful. A lot of the stuff he promised, I'd still support today in terms of transparency. And yet, got none of that. No national healing. No. And I think there are a lot of folks who, in particular, voted for Obama because of reasons around the military and war that were deeply, deeply disappointed. And so whether it's disillusioned or disaffected libertarians or men and women of the left Or it's more right-wingers that are tired of seeing the moderate Republican get the nomination. You got to support John McCain. You got to support Mitt Romney. You got to support the Bushes. And then you're just disappointed, and more than disappointed, you've been duped. Well, we're tired of it. It's a new growing coalition. Is it enough? Well, we'll see. We shall see. One person who's clearly part of this new coalition is the brand new senator from the great state of Ohio, J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance sits down with Jesse Waters here. This is after Jesse does some opening monologue about that transgender spokesman who, yes, has been fired because, well, you don't say it out loud. Just write it on the internet that you're going to kill Russian propagandists. Don't say it out loud. But here's J.D. Vance talking about, well, how so many folks are getting rich. Or he suspects, if we look a few years later, that a lot of folks got rich off this war. Let's listen in.
You've been scolded by the transgender Ukrainian American taxpayer-funded disinformation czar, Senator. Do you feel, rightfully humbled?
Well, Jesse, my first reaction when I saw this video was that SNL had somehow gotten funny again. I was sure that it was a big comedy skit, and I was not in on the joke. And then I
here, and I actually, folks, I'm going to back it up so you can see kind of this video and the setup here because it's remarkable.
Is this a psyop to rattle the Russians? Or is this a transgender disinformation czar, the perfect person to execute the propaganda war? And if we ask these questions, Sarah says, we are creating gender chaos.
Senator Vance recently asked the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, along with the Secretaries of State and Defense, if I was working in some capacity for the American government. Simply put, I'm an American serving as a Ukrainian infantry soldier and combat medic in the dual role of spokesperson and Russian disinformation analyst. The remaining speculation surrounding me is disappointing.
I said, what in the world is this?
I agree, sir. I agree. What in the world is this? Let's keep going.
While in Ukraine, we are fighting for global liberty and the ideology of victory, too many in Moscow and across the world are still caught up in focusing on the tired trope of gender chaos. I only answer to three groups of people: my Ukrainian commanders, the Ukrainian people, and the American taxpayer.
Oh, the American taxpayer. So we're paying Sarah's salary. Now, last time I checked, if you're paying someone's salary, you get to ask whatever you want.
Yeah, but you got to be down with the cause or else we'll threaten to kill you. But now let's go back to J.D. Vance here reacting to all this.
Well, Jesse, my first reaction when I saw this video was that SNL had somehow gotten funny again. I was sure that it was a big comedy skit, and I was not in on the joke. And then I shockingly learned that this is actually a real person who really does purport to represent the Ukrainian military, which of course is almost entirely funded at this point by the American taxpayer. Now here's the really crazy thing, Jesse, is the original video that I was responding to. This person, this Ukrainian spokesperson, says that anybody who engages in Russian propaganda is going to be hunted down, literally threatening violence against anybody who engages in, quote, Russian propaganda. But as you know, Jesse, multiple American journalists have been accused of engaging in Russian propaganda. Multiple members of the United States Senate have been accused. So are we really funding a military that is threatening the free speech rights of people who disagree with the Ukrainian war effort? That is preposterous, and it gives lie to the idea that this is all about freedom and democracy. If we're all about freedom and democracy, why are our paid guns threatening the free speech rights of all Americans?
Please don't hunt me down, Sarah. I didn't do anything wrong. So, Senator, when you see this new news about the Clinton Global Initiative Ukraine Action Network, and we got Airbnb, we got famous Hollywood actors now involved, and the World Bank's kind of laundering American taxpayers through the Clintons into Ukraine, it could be a noble cause, yes, but it also seems a little suspicious considering what the Clintons have been known for their entire career. Do you agree?
Oh, I certainly agree, Jesse. I really guess that 5 years from now, we're going to find out that between the Clintons and a number of American private equity firms and other hyper-global corporations, that you're going to find a lot of people have gotten rich from this. And it's really sad and it's really despicable because, of course, the Ukrainians didn't invite the war on themselves. I have disagreements with their leadership, but not with the people. But you can almost see the elites of Washington and New York City salivating over acquiring more power and more money for themselves on the backs of the Ukrainian war effort. Anybody who doesn't see this for what it is, I think, is blind to the reality. It's one of the reasons why, Jesse, we have to start asking tough questions about how long is this going to go on. To your point, are we going to let the entire country be destroyed? Half of it's already been destroyed. Are we going to encourage American investors and American politicians to get rich and powerful in Ukraine? This is really weird stuff. The video, the investors, the fact that these people are salivating over another distressed country that they can go into, it should ring a lot of alarm bells and raise a lot of red flags for a lot of people. Certainly does for me.
Yeah.
Spot on. I love seeing a new generation, especially a new generation in the United States Senate. Most of them, of the new generation, you know, that like 40-something years old. Pretty spot on. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And there at the Goodson Group, Bo and his team, well, they can help you whether you're looking to buy or sell a home here in the Montgomery and surrounding areas. Bo has a truly unique understanding of the River Region real estate market. Well, he's been doing it for 40-plus years, over 4 decades of working in this area. And at the Goodson Group, not only can they help you with buying or selling that property, maybe you want to rent out your home. They have management services available there at Bo Goodson Shop. So, well, it's still going to be a performing asset for you, but for a reasonable fee, they are going to do all the maintenance and upkeep. They have a lease of the property. I think they even work finding tenants for you. Great work there at the Goodson Group when it comes to renting out your home. And then that experience, 4+ decades of experience, comes into play at the Bo Goodson Real Estate School. It's the crown jewel there at the Goodson Group, one of the most acclaimed real estate programs here in the state of Alabama because it's, well, number one, a very interactive course. And all that experience Bo has gone through, he's been through the good, the bad, and the ugly. He's happy to share it, and you can learn those lessons directly from him. Well, and the proof is in all the folks who have gone through the Goodson Group's Bo Goodson Real Estate School, and then found great success, whether it's fully licensed realtors or as more knowledgeable private players. So check out Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group today. 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Or go to thegoodsongroup.com and be sure to tell them that, well, Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. More news and views, well, after this.
Joey Clark.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage.
And I'm Madeline Cannon. It's true, rates aren't as low as they have been for the past couple of years, but there are still many homeowners that could benefit from refinancing their current mortgage. There are a lot of things in life that are out of our control, but your mortgage rate is not one of them. If you currently have an adjustable rate mortgage, then you owe it to yourself to give us a call.
Adjustable rate mortgages make sense for some people in stable markets, but in this wild, ever-changing rate environment, it only makes sense to secure a fixed interest rate. A fixed interest rate will give you the peace of mind that your rate is locked. Your rate will not be subject to change with the political and economic tides.
At Alabama Home Mortgage, you can personalize your term. We offer 8-year to 30-year mortgages and everything in between. Grab your mortgage statement and give us a call.
Call Alabama Home Mortgage, the #1 mortgage lender in Alabama, today at 567-4223, or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
Next contestant.
Honey, you look confused. What's wrong?
I'm having a hard time remembering to take my medications like I'm supposed to. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to worry you.
I'm glad you told me. because I heard that Adams Drugs has a medicine on time service that will package your monthly medications and make them easier to manage. Our neighbors, Bill and Leslie, mentioned the other day that they use Adams and how they have made it so easy for them to manage their medications.
Do you think we can call Adams Drugs or go by there and see if they can help me? I don't want to get to the point where you have to put me into an assisted living home.
Why don't you get your medications together right now, and let's go down to Adams and talk to the pharmacist.
How much does the medicine on time service cost?
I asked Bill that same question, and he told me it's a free service for Adams customers.
Free? Wow, I'm feeling really good about this already. Let me grab my meds list.
Call Adams Drugs Medicine on time for your pharmacist consultation. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for more information on our Medicine on Time packaging service.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Ernest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Ernest, 334-279-7431. Ernest Financial, LLC.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi everybody, this is Rich Thomas. Our string of beautiful days and comfortable nights continues, and even the first weekend of fall looks pretty good. Today, more sunshine, tolerable humidity continues, with a high today around 87, mainly clear tonight, overnight low 65. Tomorrow, Friday, last official day of summer, more sun, high 87, and we'll be in the upper 80s on Saturday and Sunday, first weekend of fall with plenty of sun. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
John Bobo with Capital Tractor. Looking for a tractor, excavator, mower, ag implements, or other equipment? Capital Tractor is as close as your smartphone or computer. Find the best deals, financing information, and browse new and used inventory with just a click at capitaltractor.com.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Again, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. And I told you earlier I would tell you more about Josh Ryder and his custom design skills. I mean, the guy is a true artist, a scientist also, if you will, in order to get some of these jobs done. But what you should do is go to DillonRings.com and just click on the tab on the top that says Custom Design Jewelry. It's expertly made, incredible stuff. And it could be, hey, I want a funky fresh medallion. I'm going to have some fun with this. Or it could be something poignant, something tough, or like a memento, a memorial to somebody you lost, maybe a parent or a child or some loved one. They can do that for you there at Dillon Rings. Maybe you want to update a piece, jewelry piece that you were, given through inheritance. Well, they can, of course, do that. Or it could be, hey, I just had a dream last night that I should get this particular type of ring put on my finger. Well, just go to Josh Ryder. If you can dream it, Josh Ryder can make it a reality. He can create a piece that will last lifetimes, not just one, plural, lifetimes. So, of course, they have a great selection there, full-service jewelry shop. Don't forget about, until the end of September, the Birthday Boy discount, 25% off on select items. So check out Dillon Rings today. You can, again, always go to DillonRings.com or give them a call at 215-3669. It's always best to go see Josh and Leslie Ryder in person, right there at 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery, where the old fun zone used to be. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie that Joey from News and Views in the afternoon sent you. Let's go to Papa B, who's calling back. I'm allowing this.
Oh, double dip. I can't believe it. There's some things that I hate to say, I told you so, and this is one of them. But that little interview that they had with the special agent, whatever he is, kind of is bringing things into perspective and confirming something that I talked about months ago. I don't know if you remember, but I ran into a guy in the doctor's office, of all places, and he was bragging about his security clearance, and he kept going on and on about it. And, the conversation got into the war in Ukraine. Oh, the war in Ukraine. That's a religious war that Putin is fighting against the LGBTQs. Well, I mean, at first I said, all right, sodomite super spy, what do you know about the war in Ukraine? And that's what he said. I said, well, I think we better think of a better reason to start World War III than to protect the rights of LGBTQ in another country. That doesn't seem like a very good reason to me. And this kind of confirms that little interview. You know, you remember when Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock Holmes?
Sure, yeah.
And, you know, had that conversation with Moriarty. And Moriarty told him he just wanted to control the bullets and the bandages. And he was going to get rich doing it. Okay? I wonder if all of this money that we're spending over there in Ukraine is going to people like the LGBTQ causes who are using it to, I don't know, influence the political scene in our country. They sure are getting rich somehow or other. They sure are well-funded somehow or other. I wonder if that's how they're doing it. I'm not saying that's how it's happening, but boy, that wouldn't be much of a, that would be a coincidence, but not much of one, I guess. So who is the money going to? That's the question, isn't it?
Well, I mean, very clearly, a lot of the military contractors, number one. A lot of the stuff we're sending, they're shipping off, and then they get work orders to make more of it. Some of it is definitely going to be big agricultural interest. Monsanto and a few others were definitely looking into. I mean, it is some of those fertile earth on Earth, and it's called the breadbasket of the world for a reason. And,
true.
And so they were definitely involved in this. Yeah, and you've seen it before with the Clinton Global Initiative with Haiti, where it's like, why did the Haitians need a brand new soccer complex? Don't they need like basic property rights and running water? Yeah, and it's so it looks like a lot of these NGOs are going to, in the name of a great cause, just benefit your contractor friend. And I wonder how many kickbacks their contractor friend gets.
Well, we know for sure that Biden's got something.
Right.
That is just now inarguable fact. Who else got it? I bet you the list is long, and I bet you that they all are Washington, D.C. insiders. And I bet you we probably need to find out. J.D. Vance, boy, I tell you what, he's doing a good job, in my opinion, and I like being able to expose people like Sodomite Super Spy. I think that they need to be, totally, let's get down to the truth of the matter. Why are we fighting this war? It better be for something other than LGBTQ causes.
Well, I think that's the window dressing. Biden essentially said that at the UN. But I tend to think the reason this is being done is a very cynical geopolitical play of, and I think they really believe this, we can bleed the Russians white. We can, we just put more resources, more, abilities in there, keep them afloat, and we'll keep wearing down the Russians, make it their Vietnam. And what's, I think, happening is actually the West is being bled white slowly but surely.
Yeah. Good, there's always good things and bad things, that may be going on all at the same time.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's always funny to me, though, how we're always funding both sides of the war, no matter who we're fighting.
Right.
Anyway, all right, guys.
Appreciate it.
Enjoying the show. Yeah, man.
272-9228. Oh, my. I got to hit this break. Hopefully come back with Ray Bowles, the Prattville Carpet. Y'all stay tuned.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Ben here with Just Blinds in Prattville, your trusted source for all things quality and beauty when it comes to window treatments for your home and business. We want to thank our good friends at Blue Water Broadcasting for helping us get our message across to the thousands of Blue Water listeners. Not a day goes by we don't have someone tell us they heard about Just Blinds on Blue Water Station. stations. Radio advertising is a key part of our advertising mix, and we absolutely encourage any business looking to grow to give Blue Water a call.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Exit Realty is growing. Exit Realty focuses on everything it takes to make a real estate office successful and provides opportunity to brokers and agents unlike any other real estate brand.
Training, technology, an opportunity to earn an exceptional income and even retire and leave a legacy and benefits for your family. Interested in a great real estate career? Text BAMA to 85377 to learn more. That's BAMA to 85377.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Live local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, as promised, we got Ray Bowles of Brattville Carpet on the phone line. Hey, Ray, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Been to Valley and back already today. That's a drive.
Dadgum.
Yeah, I haven't been over there in my entire life. I was on roads I've never been on before. That don't happen often to me. But it was fun. It was an exciting day. And, hey, you know one thing we don't talk about a lot? Rugs.
Rugs? Okay.
Rugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, rugs. So we have two different opportunities for rugs. We have carriage stand rugs that are pre-made rugs that are, some of these things can run up to $25,000 down to as much as $500. Or we can bind any piece of carpet to any size you want it to fit the room exactly how you want it. So, you want it right below the couch legs and run up 6 inches away from the TV. And we could do a custom rug just like that. It normally takes about 2 weeks to get in, and you'd be surprised how reasonable priced those rugs are. Totally changes the look of the room.
Man, I'd need to look into that. I've actually been thinking about a new living room rug, so I might have to stop by there.
And the carriage stand really has some good carpets that make an absolutely beautiful pattern rug out of. So if that's something that you're thinking of, and the only reason I thought of it, I've got one on my truck I'm going to take over to a customer in Millbrook in just a minute, is the reason it was on my mind. To say, hey, yeah, we can do rugs, so don't forget about us if you need a rug.
Well, y'all check that out today. And yeah, I think I'm going to be doing that here for too long. And the number's still 285-8117?
It is, and if you don't have a pickup truck, you might can if you're sweet enough and talk to me just right. I'll probably bring it to you.
Again, folks, 285-8117. They'll literally go the extra mile for you, folks. And be sure to tell them when you call 285-8117 that you heard Ray Bowles here on News and Views with Joey, just Joey today.
Just Joey today, that's right. Guys, y'all have a great day.
Appreciate it. Always great talking to Ray Bowles. They're a great longtime sponsor of the program, Brattville Carpet. Y'all check them out. So what did we learn today, folks? Well, we learned that Senator Tuberville had a heck of a victory yesterday. Now, he didn't win the conference even. He didn't win the championship. But he won a heck of a milestone here. This is a big breakthrough within this battle between Tuberville and pretty much the rest of the establishment Senate. But what's amazing is Tuberville's moves got even some of the Republican leadership, Republican establishment within the Senate to actually join him in this cause. A pretty awesome move by Senator Tuberville there. There's a lot we didn't get to in terms of the border, which, if you turn on, say, Fox News or Newsmax or any of this stuff, you're going to see. Now, the ladies like that Bill Malugin fella. That's a good-looking man, but he has been doing some great reporting down there. The bottom line of it is predominantly single adult men from Venezuela cross border at once. More are on their way. Hundreds of thousands of people, folks. It's absolutely absurd. And I don't want us to become it. It's already happening, and this is according to that interview with Attorney General Paxton. Watch that with Tucker Carlson. Great stuff. is that there are already border towns where you have more migrants in these towns than you do have like natives, actual residents. In fact, that's happening. It's a big story out of Italy where it's this Italian island where it's like double the amount of actual residents of the island. It's a tiny one off the Italian coast. And it's now twice as many migrants from North Africa than it is folks who actually live there. And they're trying to make Italy is sort of the stop that if you want to make your way into Europe, this is the way you do it. But, great policy upending a lot of North Africa, in particular with Libya. Like, just great, genius policy. It's almost like they did it on purpose to create this mass migration. 272-9228. Or they are just listening to that Sam Kinison joke. Why don't you live where the food is? Well, I guess they took him seriously. Live where the food is. Y'all stay tuned. Greg Budell and Rosie, they're next. Happy Hour. I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with Eddie and others. Y'all stay tuned.